Hello, hello, hello. It's the time.
We are live. It is the time of the week again.
It's the podcast that we're not calling the podcast yet.
Why not?
We're calling it Ask a WM still, aren't we? Is it? What's on the video title? Ask a WM. Yes. Because we're going to rebrand it as the podcast when we sort out a new podcast. Because Podbean want money and we're not paying it because we can write something. We just haven't got time. So for now, it's staying as Ask a WM until we're ready. Hello, viewers.
Hello. Who are you, random person sitting next to me?
I am the person with the hat. This is apparently a thing. I'll talk about it in a bit.
At least people recognise you. Nobody recognises you.
They recognise the hat. I have to wear this damn hat. And I suddenly have sympathy with Tom Vassell, because he's always in those trilbies. Didn't stop me from farting on him, but I have sympathy for him and the fact he has to wear a hat all the time. He has no idea I farted on him.
But anyway, your name is Becky.
It is. My name is Becky, and I am one of the hosts of Pair of Geeks.
You were supposed to say, and your name is Jason.
I'm getting to it. Let me have my moment of self-gratification.
Okay.
And with me this week, as ever, is Jason.
Hello.
So we have been to the UK Games Expo.
Yes.
The second largest role-playing convention in the world, third largest gaming convention of all kinds in the world. And there was controversy this year. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
I'm so sorry, I just banged the table.
We just got fancy new anti-shock stuff, and you're kicking the So
it was clumsy because I was turning to my Patreons and things.
Hopefully there is better sound than all previous shows so far.
There definitely is, because when I listened, I'm like, oh, the clarity is so much nicer.
It should be. I mean, we can't hear it right now, but it should be better. If it isn't, we messed up the settings. Ronnie has said something and I can't read it from here.
He says, hey, welcome.
Awesome. We need to get the pink thing on screen so we can,
yes,
we
that's
can
true.
clear chat
Yes,
messages,
my bad.
and also I can read it better on this one.
Yes, that's very true.
And Phil is saying hello to a viewer, not to us. That's awfully kind. Thank you so much, Phil.
After all we did for you. Echo.
Oh, does that mean there's echo on the sound?
Ooh.
Balls.
But there wasn't before. Right. Okay. Good to know. Yes.
Because you set it up in the wrong tab, and the correct tab has the thingy-mabob in it. It's one of them say the focus right. Yes, it does. You need to press delete on the keyboard.
Okay. Just bear with.
Right, the echo should have just gone. Could we get confirmation of that from a... Is it? Has it? If you press no.
Clicked on the words. There we go.
Okay, the echo should have just gone.
Fingers crossed.
Can we get confirmation of that from one of our wonderful viewers? And we'll, I guess, start again.
Hi, hat lady. Wow.
So, because we can't hear it, so we're relying on you guys to let us know. Don't say nope. Go on, clear that.
Oh, no echo gone.
Echo gone. Good.
Or do you mean that no echo has gone?
Learn English. Seriously.
Echo is gone now. Yeah,
Thank
cool,
you.
Cool. You weren't here, just Ronnie.
Well, that's because they were talking when we were setting up.
I suppose I'd rather be called a hat lady than a cat lady, because that has all those connotations.
I love cats.
I know, I love cats too. But if you're a crazy cat lady, there's all these sort of connotations and things.
Well, that's just the male patriarchy at work. Clear that off screen.
Okay. Shall we instead take the time to thank our sponsors?
We could. Hello, Terry. Hi.
Hello, Terry.
Welcome for joining us. So, this week, let's do it again without echo. So, from the top.
From the top.
Should we just start again as if we hadn't... So, like, there's that whole bit when you start broadcasting. We're never sure when YouTube actually cuts in.
No, that's true.
So, we're just kind of going, hello. No, I'm by myself here, aren't I? Okay.
Yeah, people are
watching.
watching.
Welcome to Pair of Geeks. We're covering the UK Games Expo this week. We're going to talk about our time at the second biggest gaming convention in the world. No, second biggest RPG convention in the world. third biggest gaming convention, there was huge controversy this year, and I now have to permanently wear a hat.
Yes.
So let's bring out the most awesome people in the world for a quick thank you before we get going.
That is very loud blue tack.
It is loud blue tack. We've got the loudest blue tack possible because we've got new decent sound that hopefully is better than we've ever had it before.
Yes.
So just before we begin, I want to thank these lovely people, and because you've now hidden the video preview, I have no idea if that's on camera.
For goodness sake.
The other side. These lovely people.
So we have... Right, Russell Higgins, Joy Mangina, Ormba, Mark Threlford, Brandon Fishwick, David Poirier, I almost said David Poirot then, Fuke Enterprises, Phil Bates, Elizabeth Chaipradichkul, and Nate Hanshin.
Welcome
It's
to
a
the
new
crew,
one.
Nate.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
So let's stick them back up there so that they just stay permanently up on the wall in our home here, in our studio.
Yes, but what I was going to say was with the Tom Vassell thing, if you want to join us on Patreon... Oh, I'm starting to say Patreon now because you say it. If you want to join us on Patreon, the correct way of saying it, and become one of our fruit bowls, you will get behind-the-scenes footage. I put on a load of stuff from the UK Games Expo, helped out by our super fan, actually. But you can help us fund things like T-shirts that say I farted on Tom Vassell. I definitely think we should do that.
Well, there's a chance we'll do merchandise. I mean, I think we probably will at some point because I want to wear that T-shirt to next year's Games Expo. Because one of the things that was really kind of shaped my experience of the Expo this year is I started to talk a lot more to the other YouTubers. Mm-hmm. I mean, the first person to bump into one, though, was you. You bumped into Matt from Shut Up and Sit Down.
I did, yes. And you had buggered off to have a cigarette.
I had, and I did not speak to Matt all weekend.
No.
I did, however, stare at him going, as I walked past, being completely unable to control myself.
It was quite funny because I literally just walked towards the bar and I saw him and he noticed that I'd spotted him. And it was at that moment, it's like, okay, I can't not go up to him now, because then that would just be a bit weird. So I kind of made this awkward beeline towards him. And I said hello, and he was really nice and really chatty. And then I said, you know how my fiancé is buggered off for the second time running when I bumped into you? Can I have a picture? He said, yeah, go on.
There's this thing that happens when YouTubers congregate.
Yeah.
Right.
You know this better than me because you've.
I spoke to quite a lot of YouTubers.
I was really tired, but you were kind of inebriated.
I was socialising all weekend. So, what happens with YouTubers, and this is kind of a weird, terrible indictment of the human condition. In that conversation, if there's 3 or more YouTubers in a conversation, the 2 with the highest subscriber count will be the ones doing all the talking. They'll talk to each other, right? Because the second biggest person is being revered by the third biggest person, so they're waiting to what this person says, and they're only interested in the one bigger than them, and they're kind of like overseer, right? And
Whoa.
So they're not going to talk to the minnow. They talk to the. It's weird. Mm-hmm. It's really weird. The best YouTubers shouldn't congregate. We should limit them to 2 YouTubers in a conversation at once. Right? Do not have the. I was having a conversation with. We've mentioned before. No pun included, and we used to I always used to mention that we tried to get an interview and they rejected us, and it was sort of like, screw those guys. Well, they said hi to me this year, so I like them now.
Well, they did more than that. They said hello, and then it kind of grew from there, and you actually started having conversations. There was that conversation you had over breakfast.
Yeah, I've spoken to them several times now, but in one of the conversations, having quite an interesting conversation with them, along walks Tom Vassell. Automatically, I'm now the 3rd biggest YouTuber in that particular conversation. And Tom Vassell just repeatedly exclaimed how amazingly brilliant Avengers Endgame was. Repeatedly. Apparently he's never going to watch another film. But it's so weird. Like, why can't people just talk like people instead of... it's kind of a shame. But anyway...
It's like, even with people like Shut Up and Sit Down, I don't think, like, oh my god, anymore.
I kind of do with them, still.
They're people.
Yeah, but and I need
people.
to play Twilight Imperium with them. After that, they'll be people.
That's true. Ronnie would also like that t-shirt. I think this is catching on.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can use Tom Vassel's likeness, name, or brand on a t-shirt though. If we're going to sell it,
Yeah, we can.
we'll do a cartoon caricature of him.
Yeah. I was just thinking really bold words.
I
Open for
farted on Tom
Yeah,
Vassell.
yeah. Just so people can interpret it how they want and be like, well, who the fuck's Tom Vassell?
The hat. The hat is a thing. So one obviously, like I've spoken a little bit about the fact that we bumped into lots of YouTubers, had lots of conversation. The press scene at Games Expo is getting a lot more friendly, and we're all getting to know each other and stuff. But I also got to meet a lot of OWL fans, which was really cool and humbling. But
I had one that scared the bejesus out of me when I was going to the toilet. Well, on the way to the toilet. He was behind one of the large doors in outside the open gaming room, and we'd met him before and did like the pitch thing in the trade room, but I obviously didn't know he was there. And then suddenly I hear my name really loud. I was like, "What? Oh, it's you." I mean, I was kind of really desperate for the loo. But he starts saying, "Oh, how you doing?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll talk to you, but I need the loo."
One of the things that kind of came out of Friday, really, because Friday I'd done my hair up nice, so I wasn't wearing the hat, which I wore at last year's Expo and have worn in the odd video here and there and filming out and about.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a cheap hat I bought in a charity shop in Warwick on a hot day when I needed a hat to protect my neck.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. But turns out it's a thing. Like, everyone I met on the Friday when I wasn't wearing a hat said, "Where's the hat?" Then on the Saturday I wore the hat, loads more people recognised me.
I think also because you've worn it in a lot of Com Plus interviews.
Well, that's because I was wearing it on the day when most of them were filmed. That's all it is. It was a hot day. I mean, I like the hat. I don't want to permanently wear it, but apparently I now will.
Yes,
I'm wearing it now.
Glue
it's
it
a
on.
thing.
We need to
It
glue
is a
it
thing.
on.
That's just it. It's a thing. So, Games Expo. I think 2 different reviews are needed.
Okay.
One of the Expo itself,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the Hilton. And why don't we start with the Hilton? Get the bad stuff out of the way.
Okay.
We'll do an inverse shit sandwich. We'll deal with the Hilton review, the Expo review, and then we'll talk about the
thing.
controversy.
The thing.
Dun. So we turn up at the Hilton. There are. I just got told off for having my leg up.
There's noise.
There are 2 sets of lifts in the. There's 3 lifts.
No, there's
shafts,
3. There's 3 sets of
one
lifts.
is a separate part of the building that has no link.
Yes, which is a bit weird, but there we go.
So to get to the main part of the building, there are 2 lift shafts. One is a pair of 2 lifts.
Mm-hmm.
One is a pair of 3.
Mm-hmm.
That is the main lift lobby. But only one lift worked. The
And
entire weekend.
This is also the kind of hotel where they don't have like open stairs.
There
so
are no stairs. The only that was a fire escape we were getting.
Basically,
an interior
yeah.
fire escape.
Yeah.
It wasn't even decorated.
No.
That's what we used most of the weekend. So, but I don't know. Were you with me when the lift failed?
No, I wasn't.
So that single working lift in the main lift lobby failed with me inside it.
Wow.
It was the closest I went from naught to claustrophobia in my entire life. I'm not particularly claustrophobic, but when the lift tells you, "I am now out of service," and you're inside it, that is actually a scary moment.
Yeah,
Absolute shambles.
It was also scary that I got a message that the lifts weren't working before we even arrived.
Oh, I suppose you booked it. That's why you got the message.
No, I got the message from a friend
Okay.
who had arrived before us saying, "Oh, by the way, the lifts aren't working." So it's like, right, okay, and it continued like that the whole way through.
Yeah, they never got repaired.
No.
We drank the Expo attendees drank the place out of decent beer on the first night.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was one of the beers, which happened to be the nicest beer there on draft. They kept having trouble with it. They had to keep taking it off and all that. So I managed to get maybe 1-2 pints on the Thursday. When we get back, it's like, no, it's not on. It's like, okay, I'll have something else. And then every time after, it's like, oh, we just can't serve it. There's a problem with the gas.
But it wasn't just that beer. All the Punk IPA went.
Yeah, the Punk IPA went.
The
all,
Dead
all
Pony
gone.
Club went.
Yep.
All the decent beers were gone in the first night. They were completely unprepared for the expo.
And then even the Old Speckled Hen was gone by end of Saturday.
I got to the point on a Saturday that I started drinking spirits. Right? Can you guess how much a single gin with tap tonic water costs at the Hilton?
Well, you told me, so I know.
It's £13 for a single gin with tap-filled tonic. £13. And the hidden charges with the expo are phenomenal. You know, it's like, it's supposed to be free parking for Games Expo attendees. We got stung with £50 plus bill as we left. And, you know, couldn't get out the car park otherwise.
I was also under the impression that I'd pay for the breakfasts, and they were like, oh, no, you haven't, so that's another £90.
And the worst part is, next year, Hilton have doubled their prices. You now need to pay over £1,000 to stay in a run-down, clapped-out, overcharging, hidden charging hotel. And for me, that is it. No more Hilton.
With absolutely terrible staff.
Yeah. Now, there's a new hotel opening next to the NEC called the Moxie, but that's still being built.
No.
So hopefully that will turn out to be worth booking.
Yeah. So we've currently booked the premiere and we haven't paid for it, but they have like a nice flexible thing. But the difference in price is astonishing.
Yeah. And that's like 10 minutes walk, isn't it?
It's 10 minutes walk. It's absolutely fine. The only thing I was a little bit concerned about was if we had to go back to get a shower or something. But even then, I'd much rather not pay £800.
Yeah, it's so
and
nice.
I'm not exaggerating there. That's
it's
the
so
actual
nice to
amount.
have a room on site just to be able to pop up to it, especially when you got camera gear and stuff like that with you. And it's nice to be able to put that down, go get your dice, have a game of an evening. But I'm not paying £800 for that.
No.
Like, I'll pay at most, absolute push me, I might pay 200 over for that, but not £800 more.
No.
It's ridiculous. So Hilton gets a big thumbs down, and
More like that.
yeah, 2 fingers, and we're not going back to the Hilton next year.
No, I think we actually did pretty well because the room was good and we didn't get any rude bar staff, where apparently other people did and had like really bad rundown rooms.
Yeah, I mean, there's 750 rooms in that hotel. They're trying to sell them for £1,000 each. That's $750,000 they're trying to make on one night. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So, what's this? Indiana Becky, the woman with...
Now we just need a large boulder.
Yeah, it is extortion, Ronnie. Yeah, absolutely right.
Especially considering they charge so much just for a drink. It's like,
Yeah.
where's all this money going? It's not going to maintaining the hotel.
No. The stairwell we were having to use wasn't even painted.
One thing I noticed as well is some of the bar staff had really long shifts. Did you notice? So we like go to the bar maybe before the evening game or something. I'd then come back at midnight. They'd still be there, and they go on like well into the night.
So they're tired, they're exhausted, they're making mistakes.
Yeah, and I absolutely get, if you're tired and whatever, but they were also extremely slow.
Yeah.
Like, they were so slow. And the most annoying thing, as somebody who's worked in a pub, if you have a load of people at the bar, you don't, like, serve one and then turn away and start, like, looking at stock lists or changing like receipts or something. You serve people. That's what you do. You deal with all the other stuff later, unless it's like an emergency and you've like run out of ice or something. No.
Yeah. So anyway.
Oh, and the tills broke, didn't they, on the bar?
Just something else that wasn't working.
Yep.
I cannot believe they want to charge 5-star money for that.
As I wrote on my review on TripAdvisor, it was Schrodinger's convention. They knew it was going on because they charged us so much money and all that. They know how to exploit people staying there, but at the same time, they have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't pay that much this year. We didn't pay £1,000 for this year. I think it was like half that, wasn't it?
It was half, not including breakfast though. It was about
which we
$550 for the
thought
rooms.
it was, and
yeah.
parking, which should have been included and wasn't. So yeah. All right, so that's that. That's the Hilton.
No way.
Says
Phil.
Not going back to the Hilton.
Yeah.
No. Even if they bring the prices down, I think because of the state of that hotel, I would now only stay there if it was budget.
Yeah. But also, there's all those women Freemasons who come on the Saturday, and again, they know that happens as well. So it's like, why don't they actually make give themselves the means from which to operate properly? Why don't they bring in extra staff and get extra stock in? What? They think they're going to have too much and overspend? Really?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anyway, look, let's move on. Let's talk about the expo itself.
Let's talk about the loot.
We could talk about... So basically, I haven't actually looked at my bank statement, but we walked through the trade halls on the Friday morning to do a bit of shopping, and that appeared to cost me somewhere around 250 quid. Right, now, I don't know. I haven't actually looked at the statement and taken in the pain.
So let's look at it in terms of pretties instead.
Yeah. So this is the first thing I want to show. We ought to maybe set up a second camera for doing this, really, but we didn't.
Yeah, but we didn't.
Oh, well. So, this is actually a gift for our cat sitter who looked after Medusa while we were away. And I'm going to put a few in my hand and then come up to the camera.
Noise, noise, noise. Lots of noise.
I can't help it, they're metal. So, they are massively into...
Do you want me to hold any?
No, I've got both sides, I think, here now. There we go. They are massively into LARPing, and they're doing this sci-fi...
I thought it was cyberpunk they were doing.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Cyberpunk dystopian LARP. So I got them. Can we get the camera up? Sorry.
Yes, we can.
Why do we have that open?
I don't know.
Can we get the chat and the camera?
Yes, okay, yes.
Ooh,
there.
I've triggered a nerve.
Nope.
Okay, so here we've got these coins that are basically cyberpunk all over. So I got them a sort of bag of them as a little thank you for looking after Medusa.
Yes, thank you.
There's 11 coins there. That was £10. Maybe I'm going to work this out as we go along.
Did you now,
got some of those.
Which
I got
ones
some
did
more
you
as
get?
well because that was their cyberpunk ones. But I also bought these Egyptian ones because I've got an Egyptian themed D&D campaign going on at the moment, and I thought I'd use these as inspiration tokens. Let's get them the other way out. Actually, they look more Egyptian on this side. If you can see that there, it's not the best camera angle. I'm sorry. So they're pretty neat. They're basically a pound a coin, which is pretty much what you pay for those things. Now I also know what this costs because it's still got the price tag on. I've been meaning to pick this up for a while now. This is the D&D magic item cards, and of course, me being me, I've done one thing with these so far, and that is sort them into rarity order, so that I've got a deck here of. Well, I've happened to open it at the top end, so this is all the legendary stuff. So, because, if I want to give out, let's say I want to give out a legendary item, I think cards are a great way to do it instead of rolling dice. Because if you roll dice, you've got to get the book open, find the page, look at the table, roll the dice, compare them. Whereas you can just have a deck of cards, and you go, legendary item that's going to be in the next encounter. It is an Afriti chain, and I've got the details right here. I do love cards at the table.
Yes.
I use a lot of the magic spell cards when I play 5e.
Yeah, I've found them really useful as well because it saves you flicking through the book.
Yeah, they've also started doing now monster cards. Which
they have, haven't they?
I'm in two minds about. Because for me, I love spell cards because it's a great way of building an actual physical sort of spell book, if you like. You build a kind of spell hand.
Yeah.
And it's great having the reference there for the rules of the spell in your hand without having to refer to the book.
I also don't like how in the spell section of the book they do it kind of... Don't they do it based off the...
They're alphabetical.
Yeah, they're alphabetical rather than based off the school.
Yeah, they're not grouped by school at all.
Which to me is annoying.
There is one complaint I have about the spell cards, and that is in the base set for the intelligence casters. They're all in one box called the Arcane Casters. And I ranted about this on a review, and I think they have changed it in subsequent sets, but they haven't changed it in reprinting the first set. you don't know which one's a wizard, which one's
Yeah,
a sorcerer, which
I
one's a
remember
warlock.
that. It's really annoying.
It is hugely annoying. It does have the school on
Because
there.
I am a wizard.
Yeah, that frustrates me. Because I think it's a great way of randomly determining spells. Oh, I've got an encounter coming up. I need a wizard. I've got 6 spells, and if I need to read the rules, they're right on the card. Job done. I don't have to look them up. So I do like the spell cards, and magic item cards seem like a logical thing. Monster cards, however, I'm not so sure about. Why would I randomly determine a monster? Like, I'm going to plan that stuff, or at least pick something logical from.
Well, there is the random encounter.
Yeah, exactly.
That some people like to use.
And as you know, I don't. So the next thing we got is actually a sample, because we're thinking about doing this. We're going to talk a lot about different aspects of the show. At the moment, we're going through our loot. So this is a sample of a 3D print from a company called Miniature U. And we got this sample. It was a freebie, actually.
That doesn't look anything like you.
It isn't. It was a little bit like you, but not quite.
Well, I do have quite a Roman nose.
Yeah, well, yeah, a bit. So this is kind of like a Roman Caesar, I guess. It's a Caesar bust. But it's a sample of a 3D print, and the reason it's relevant is because there's this company now called Miniature U. They are backing Com+2, because I spoke to them for more than 2 minutes. And what you can do, you can scan your face with a mobile phone, and that then gets a 3D model of your head, and you can plonk that head onto a prefabricated body of every race, class, gender, monster, from multiple periods of history and so forth. You can be Roman, Celtic, whatever, and you basically put your head onto a miniature body and have it 3D printed.
Yes.
And we were thinking of actually doing this as our wedding cake toppers. Because I don't know if we've mentioned this, but we're getting married.
I think we have mentioned it.
Why don't you talk about this one? Because this
Mine.
one's yours.
So this is something I've been wanting to pick up for a while from Jonathan Green. One of his latest books, which is Neverland Here Be Monsters. It's one of his game books, because he's done a few of those. He's done an Alice in Wonderland one recently. This is something that he is also providing for Com+1, so thank you very much, Jonathan. So
That's the hardback, though, isn't it? For
I was
Com+1.
just about to say. It is not this one, but it is the fancy hardback limited edition, which is all like embossed in silver with like black and stuff. And I like it. It's a nice sort of twist on the whole Peter Pan Neverland thing. So, for example, Peter Pan he never grows up because he's basically a cyborg. You can play as him, you can play as Tiger Lily, Wendy, and Captain James Hook if you want to. And basically, Wendy has washed up onto Neverland after sinking in the Titanic.
Seems like a good opportunity to just let people who are into that kind of book know that a certain person has just finished a certain book and it's now going to publish Assassins of Alanzia.
Yes, you didn't spell Alanzia correctly.
But
Yes, so Ian Livingstone announced today his new book, Assassins of Alanzia, which sounds really cute. I'm not sure which assassins he's referring to, but then Alanzia is a big place. So, yes, that book is exciting, and hopefully... actually, I don't know, but
I mean,
there
Ian
is fighting...
said he'd back us, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, but what I was going to say was I don't know if it'll be ready by Fighting Fantasy Fest, which is in a couple of months.
Yeah, because he announced it today. It's not necessarily
announce it, yes, so I'm not sure.
Hopefully,
Wishful thinking.
Now, next thing we got is a set of 3. We're coming to it. Okay. Calm down. Easy, Tiger.
But I saw you take it off the pile.
No, it was adjacent. It was like,
oh,
it was there.
Okay.
Right,
okay,
this was here.
Yes,
but this comes with these.
Yes, okay.
Right, so we play a lot of board games. Terraforming Mars is one of our favourites, so we picked up Prelude. We've opened this one because we played it already.
And we picked up Colonies.
And we picked up Venus Next. So this is all Terraforming Mars expansions.
Yes.
The pain of this one is actually written on the box. It was 26 quid. So I haven't played some of these yet, but we did play with Prelude, and it definitely...
works.
Yeah, it's definitely a better game. Because... the thing about Terraforming Mars, you're hunting through the cards to try and find a synergy. With Prelude, you kind of know your strategy from the start, and that,
Yes.
or at least a strategy you can play with, which I
Yes.
did.
We have
like.
also backed the new expansion that's coming out.
Oh yeah, because there's a Kickstarter that's finished now, isn't it? For
Yes,
Terraforming
it
Mars.
is finished.
Okay, why don't you talk to us about this book? Because this is RPG related.
Yes. I got this on a whim because actually it was quite cheap for the expo anyway. £11. It's the ultimate RPG character backstory guide, and you can like.
Can it do
fill
edgelords like
stuff
last
in.
week?
Yes, I'm sure it can. I haven't actually looked through it a lot, but for example, you can do idioms. There's things like 5 things you can't throw away, your mentor, a touch of home, honeypot. So lots of different things that you might not necessarily think of. And considering we had so much fun with the the character flaws and stuff, I thought, yeah, why not? I'll pick it up. There was one book I did want to get more, which was how to write, basically saying how to write RPG modules that are not shit, but it was just kind of fantasy orientated, which I didn't want because I'm busy writing Cthulhu ones.
Okay.
So never mind. But it wasn't exactly called that, but it was basically saying that. So I thought that was a nice jest.
Okay. Now the next 2 here. Now, these are from 2 different people, aren't they? So that was from Chaosium.
Yes, as is another book.
I don't think this was. That
No,
was
no,
from
no,
Loki.
no. There's another one.
Ah, I see it. Now, in fairness, you got this with one of these, because we had 3 of these kicking around.
We
We
did.
owned 2 of them. One was given to us.
People probably won't know what it is.
No, this is Trans-Pacific Telegraphy. It is a, what do they call these? A
telegram?
telegram, thank you. Right, I received this telegram. You had one similar, but you've spent yours. Thank you for taking part in Chaosium's Cthulhu Masters Tournament. Stop. Congratulations on winning your round of the shooting party. Stop. You now have a place in the search for Brian Boru. Stop. This one-use code gives you either £10 off any product we have at UKGE this year. Stop. Or $10 off any product in our online store. So basically, this is a prize for winning the first round of the Cthulhu Masters.
Yes.
I did get through to the final. Well, I didn't win.
No. And I was also given one for running the shooting party, which Becky was not in because bias and stuff.
Yes, I played a different first round.
But the person who did get through, I thought, will play very well. So yes, with my voucher, I got Call of Cthulhu colouring book, because why not? I'm not really into colouring, but I love Cthulhu, and
That became a fad a few years ago, didn't it? Colouring books. It was more of European.
very detailed. So I thought, yeah,
I
why
can't even
not?
make that out on the camera preview. But, okay, yeah, there's a lot of eyeballs.
Of course, it's a lot of eyeballs. It's Cthulhu. Wow, especially that one.
And is that a naked Bast / Anubis? It's Bast, I think.
Yes, it is Bast, and
The
that is
topless
Nyarlathotep, so a load of eyeballs. And I also got 6 Reasons to Fear the Unknown, aka Nameless Horrors.
Okay, and then you, staying on a Cthulhu theme, you picked this up from Loki Battle Maps.
Yeah, because it was only £2. Jeez, I was definitely going to pick that up for £2. It's because there was like a tiny scuff up here somewhere.
And that's basically a writing pad, yeah?
Yeah, it's a writing pad. It's got lines on one side, blank on the other side. I thought, yes, absolutely.
And still staying on the Cthulhu theme, you picked this up. A new board game.
Well, it's a card game.
Oh.
It says the card game on it. In big letters. And?
Sorry, I didn't read everything before.
Yeah, so Arkham Horror the card game, which I've heard a lot about and lots of people like it. We've got Eldritch Horror, and we like that game quite a lot.
That's a full board game.
It is, yeah, but Arkham Horror is based off the board game that came out before Eldritch Horror of the same name. And Arkham Horror is not so good, apparently.
Well, it's a board game.
Yes,
Well,
but
it's earlier, isn't it?
it is, yeah. But basically, when the Arkham Horror card game came out, everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing!" And it does look good. It's very story driven, quite simple in terms of mechanics by the looks of it, but lots of complexity in the story, lots of replay value, and there are expansions as well if you want like extra characters and things like that. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to playing
in
that.
that series. Now this box is quite light because we've moved it into the main box. This is an expansion for actually what is lately one of my favourite games. So it's this game called The Quacks of Quidlingburg, which is a mouthful. And the first job, I think, is to get either drunk or stoned and try to say the name of the game. But the game itself it's a really quirky game. You make potions, and you do that by buying ingredients. The ingredients are little counters that go in a bag. You can clear that chat off and see what else has been said.
Yeah, but we didn't acknowledge it. Villa's talking about coins.
So you put
hello,
little...
Stephen,
Hi.
Mr. Superfan. We were just talking about you.
So, hi,
hey, James Breeden.
Yeah, everyone is well.
Oh, so... ASMR. Yes, I suppose we were doing a bit of ASMR, weren't we, with the coins and the... It's because the mic is very close, you see, yes.
Hello, Kingdom Beast Error. So we got this expansion.
I thought you said a bee starer, as in staring at bees.
Wow, that is
bee
a
starer.
terrifying proposition. So this is an expansion for it. Adds more stuff. Had a play with it with some friends, and yeah, it's good. It's good. I still love this game, and the expansion is just more games, so I'm quite happy about that. It is a light game. I would highly recommend this as either as a gateway game, or a game for just having social fun with gamers that aren't necessarily hardcore simulation type thing. You know, it's a light, fun, simple game that I really enjoy.
And what's
I
so
like my
funny
heavy games.
is before I pointed at it in a shop, you'd never heard of it.
I hadn't, and I think you might have pointed at it once before, and I just went,
yeah, I
wow,
watched the shop and sit down review and said, look, this looks quite cool. And I've actually always liked kind of sort of the making potions, maybe being in a tavern type concept. It's quite light, it's fun.
Yeah. But let's return now to the subject of RPGs for our last purchase.
Yes.
So, as we all know, I like to lay out miniature setups. Right? We do this weekend game like once a month. Or it seems to be once every 3 months at the minute. But anyway, we do this game, and I usually create a new setup for it, and then that setup will eventually appear in a video at some point. And it's actually, we're having this particular game meets tomorrow. But one of the problems is once I do the first setup before the players arrive, it takes a long time to build a miniature setup. So what you do for the rest of the day, because we play for about 8 hours in those games, sometimes 12. Once a year, we do it all weekend. So how do you deal with subsequent encounters? Well, I picked this up. This is the Giant Book of Battle Mats. And
this
it's
is
an
also
A3
from
book.
Loki.
This is from Loki, yeah. Who are back in Complas 2.
Yes, they are.
So it's an A3 book that lays flat. So, you open it up, and basically I've got an A2, well, in this case, series of tiles.
More ASMR.
More ASMR. And it has got lots of environments. So
and it's all dry erase, right?
It is. I mean, I don't intend to draw on it myself, because that would be sacrilege. But it's basically pages upon pages of different encounter locations, which I can use on our miniatures game, because we play both with and without miniatures depending on the group. So, and this is just cool. This is a very quick to get out. Flip it to the page. I mean, look at this sort of grand ballroom, and then further on there's a sort of throne room.
Oh yeah, that looks cool.
A pit. We've got some kind of puzzle room. We've got all sorts going on in here. Oh, nearly skipped one there. All sorts going on. I just think it's great.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, throne room. I'll try and keep flipping the pages so you can see it.
Sewers, I believe. Is that sewers?
You could use it as sewers, absolutely. Or a temple complex. Would work for both. You've got docks there. You've got some kind of large tavern, very large tavern, or warehouse. It could work as a warehouse as well.
Yes, actually, I think it is more warehouse.
It could go for either. Here's definitely a sewer. Yeah, no question about that. This one, it's a village.
It's got lots of fireplaces.
Yeah, it's got the fireplaces on the different buildings and stuff. But yeah, it's a village basically, or a small town. Got a marketplace.
Rooftops.
Yeah.
Then
Then we've got beach. That's quite a pretty water, actually.
Mm.
I like that.
Yeah.
Somewhere in hell. Somewhere in a different kind of hell.
Is this Monkey Island, these last few scenes? You got a beach and hell.
That could work as a jungle. It's sort of an Inca.
Oh yeah,
type,
Lost Temple, definitely in a
Inca
jungle.
type style, isn't it? Yeah, and then the last page is kind of
Just what else?
Yeah. But yeah, so I really liked that, and like especially with it being A3, I thought that was just a cool thing. It's worth getting.
Yes.
So Fuke has said
Hello,
something.
Fuke. Shall I read it?
Yes.
He said, "Shit, I was getting trim on my hair. Missed the beginning of this. Sorry. I do have a question for the people who live on the island of Great Britain. Why is there a round castle? What makes it work?"
A round castle as opposed to a square castle.
I'm assuming that's what he means, yes.
Because round castles were an innovation that happened later. I don't honestly remember. I think the difference is artillery, isn't it? Because aren't the round walls stronger against artillery?
I thought, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think that's basically it. Siege weapons, cannon, gunpowder, that happened. And then as guns continue to evolve, eventually you get those kind of star-shaped forts. It's where it kind of goes back to an almost squared off surface again. So it kind of went almost full circle. As you get it's sort of like a spear point sticking out of each side of the castle. And that's of course Star Castle.
So you know that scene in, well, it's Pelennor Fields when they're attacking Minas Tirith and they use the Mahusive catapults. They throw a giant rock at a round battlement and it just collapses.
Well, in fairness, that was a huge chunk of masonry, and the implication was that particular siege weapon was Mahusive, because it had massive trolls to arm it and stuff. Truth is, if you, using the building materials they were using, if you built a catapult strong enough to fling that thing, it would have just torn itself apart.
Yeah.
Not even the Romans made them that good. So, hello, Fuke.
Fuke has got 2 accounts, apparently.
It seems that way. So, Phil B says, which round castle? There are lots. Yeah, there are. I'm trying to think. There was a particularly stunning one I went to once, and I can't remember where it was. I was working.
Was it in Great Britain?
Yes, of course. We have a lot of castles.
I know.
It's got to be Britain or Germany, really, hasn't it?
Oh, Windsor. Windsor Castle, yeah, that's round.
Yes, but
Well, that's to keep out the homeless people.
Yeah. But the interesting thing, though, about royal castles, I think, is the biggie, the Tower of London, because that is an example. You know, the tower.
I know what the tower is. I'm just not very monarch. Fan person.
It's quite interesting because that was always called the White Tower. And it was called the White Tower because it has this special lime type wash they put over it, which is purely cosmetic and really expensive to do. And it became a fashion at one point in history to make your castle white by doing this to it. But the White Tower has always been white, hence it's called the White Tower. So it kind of predated the fashion and has continued on long after it. But it's not defensive at all. So Phil says Norman, they liked square castles.
Yeah,
the classic Norman castles are square.
Normans had sort of roundish archways in like churches and stuff.
Well, yes, because you've got to make them arch-shaped to support the weight above.
Yeah, but compared to later on when it was Gothic, where it was more kind of pointed, it was kind of like that. But
like the classic Norman castle would be something like Rochester, which is it almost looks like the miniature from Mighty Empires that Games Workshop did. You know, it's that kind of square shape. No corners to batter stones out of. Absolutely. Ronnie says, looked like you guys got a good hoard from the expo.
Oh, yes, we did.
Yeah. I always feel embarrassed doing that, but Jason loves it. So.
Why do you feel embarrassed?
Well, it's the stuff I bought, and it's showing off my wealth, although actually it's more showing off my lack of bank balance this month, because I'm broke now.
No, it's a big thing of the year, and I like to show off our loot.
But let's keep talking about the expo. So,
yes.
We start the expo on the Thursday because we go to the press stuff on the Thursday.
And that was good. It was very hot, but good.
Oh my god, I've never known the NEC to be that hot. It was like, if you imagine the sweat of hundreds of people building stands across multiple convention halls, it was like walking into the air they'd left behind, covered in glue so it sticks to you.
It kind of reminded me of back when it was just in the Hilton, so the trade room was in one of the Hilton rooms. It was like that, but worse.
It was very close in that press preview, very close. But we did, our mission in that was to pick up sponsors for Con Plus 2. But I think, looking back, I was actually surprised at how many we got. We didn't kind of realise as to what we'd achieved whilst we were there, because we were running around all the time and drunk the rest of the time, and that, not really kind of that conscious of just how much work we'd done. But when we got back and I started transferring stuff off the camera and started looking at, the business cards and stuff, it's like, wow, we actually did a lot.
I think you more so than me, because I remember you feeling really downbeat about the Saturday, and I'm like, look, it's okay, we can do some more on the Sunday.
We'll talk about Saturday in a minute, but
I was fairly aware that we'd done a lot on the Thursday. I wasn't sure how much, I couldn't remember, but yeah, we have done a lot. And in terms of sponsors now, we are, I believe, are we over 50 now?
I think the number is 56 sponsors. I had another confirmed this morning, so 57. There's 56 on the website, but Osric confirmed this morning. So yeah, Stuart is back supporting us with first edition. So represent for the 1E crowd.
1E crowd.
Yeah, it'll be the smaller A5 softback.
Yeah.
Because there's technically it doesn't make money out of Osric. So he backs us because it's a charity thing.
Thank you, Stuart.
Awesome of you.
But yeah, 56 sponsors, seriously. 57.
And it'll continue to go up as we pick up more for the remainder of the year, but we've done the bulk of the work on getting sponsors now.
Yeah.
And now we start work on sorting out the new event system and putting together the telethon.
Yeah.
That'll be our work going forward.
My voice keeps breaking. So the question is, for those people watching, when can they start signing up?
When I've written the event system. I haven't done it yet.
But we had a plan. I
have a plan. Okay, this is my plan for making the event system for Con Plus 2. For those of you who want to book games, play in games, run games, and do other events, you can play ball games. It doesn't have to be streaming this year. You don't need a Facebook account anymore. All that stuff, we're going to do away with it, and we're just going to you can run an event for Con Plus 2 to raise money for a really good charity, and it could be anything you like. We prefer it to be gaming, but just raise money however you can. And my plan for making that a booking system is this weekend I'm busy playing a role-playing game. Next weekend I'm busy because I like to watch the Le Mans 24-hour race every year. I quite like it. I have a team I support. And then the weekend after that, you start watching Wimbledon and I start coding. So that's when I start. When I finish, I've no idea.
Well, not start. No, I'm only really bothered about the last sort of semi-final, final bits.
Whatever.
First round, meh. No. But yes, so I'll have time on there to do things, but the point I was trying to ask you was... Are we going with the 6-week prior?
Oh, yes. So the plan is to open game sign-up 6 weeks before the event, which is start of September, because the event is October 11th to 13th.
Indeed.
Yeah. So start of September will be game sign-up. We're not launching it during start of Gen Con.
No, that was a mistake. We're not doing that.
Oopsie, sorry about that. So yeah, start of September. That's when you can book your events.
Yes.
That's the plan. So it won't be any sooner than that. And hopefully it won't be later.
And do people have to sign up for the telethon?
No, they just tune into Pair of Geeks and win loads of prizes. We have over 170 prizes. We had 175 last year. We broke that record before we went to Expo and picked up a load of sponsors. So
And prizes.
We have not counted how many we've got yet.
Well, I kind of have. It's a lot.
Have you? Because we haven't got even confirmation of everything yet. They're still coming in.
No. But in terms of physical things that we've got, especially a couple of sponsors, we have been given so much stuff.
You said you kind of had counted, so do you know a number?
Not number, no. I'm more kind of, I know what
I mean.
items we've got.
Oh, yeah, I know what we've physically got, and I couldn't list it off.
But I
forget stuff.
I haven't counted, no.
No, it's several hundred prizes. It is phenomenal.
So don't just sit there.
All you have to do to win, it's the biggest RPG prize giveaway on the internet.
It's amazing.
As far as I know, it's the biggest RPG prize giveaway in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There are hundreds of RPG prizes to be won, including full dungeon sets with decor and monsters and stuff. All you have to do is watch this channel during the telethon on October the 12th midday to October 13th midday. We'll be giving stuff away for the full 24 hours.
BST or UTC?
Interesting question. Of course, it's international. We have to work UTC.
UTC.
So you convert that to your local time zone.
Okay.
So for us British people, that means we're an hour ahead, so we knock an hour out. But you have to work internationally for UTC international.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all you have to do to win tons of stuff. Just tune in, take part by tuning in, and you will win stuff. I promise you. If you tune into that, because we're probably going to have more prizes than viewers.
Yeah. And we have a link in the description if you want to check out the website and see why we're doing this.
Yeah, it's all for a really good cause. And you can donate now.
You can.
To a really good cause. And then if you do that, if you do create an account on the Complus website and you make a donation, you'll see that you've got some gold coins and you go, what the hell's this for? And what's this? What's this arena champion? And I'm not going to explain it yet.
But don't worry about it. Just keep it safe. You'll want it.
We were talking about UK Games Expo though.
Yes.
So Thursday for us is when the show starts, and we did the press preview. We picked up sponsors. Then Friday
we did shopping.
We did, but then
we did the Cthulhu Masters.
Yes, the yearly Cthulhu Masters tournament. I've taken part. I've played in the Cthulhu Masters 3 times now.
I should have brought my folder up to
It's
do fancy hangouts. Never mind.
Right. So, what is the Cthulhu Masters?
It is a tournament RPG, and I hear lots of people going, "Oh my god!" like they've done so before. But honestly, it's fine. All it is it is a Cthulhu game. There are 5 or 6 tables, all playing the same scenario by different GMs, and then you vote for each other. So you vote on who is the most entertaining, or who you think the best player was, taking all that into account.
But surely that just means groups of friends vote for themselves.
No. Because, for example, if you travel in a group of people, like those South Africans, for example, I actually don't know the name of their thing, that's why I call them South Africans, because they're all from South Africa. They were all put onto separate tables. There is a bit of regulation in that. If we are aware that there are people who have come together as a group of friends, you're all going to be on separate tables.
So you either get split up, or they do what they did this year, where they had so many from the same role-playing club that it just happens to be from South Africa, and I don't remember the name for either. But they had so many people from the club, they put them all on the same table, so that only one got through to the final.
Yes, that's actually what I meant. Yes, so that way you don't all get through to the final.
Get split.
Yeah, so you vote for each other. The GM also gets a vote, and whoever gets through to the final then plays a different scenario on just one table. And then, if you win that in a very similar fashion, then you get a really fancy schmancy prize.
And what most people won't know is that final is held in the boardroom of the Hilton, which sounds truly fancy. And I have to say, for a role-playing convention, it does have one luxury. There is only one table in that room. It's quiet. The leather chairs are the most uncomfortable chairs. You can't sit up in them. You can only lean back that far. It's incredibly uncomfortable.
Oh dear.
The furniture in there looks like it's from the 80s. I mean, honestly, it's the most run-down boardroom I've ever been in. It's terrible.
But there's people who don't like the idea of a competition and all that. And in my opinion, it's not really. Yes, there's the voting at the end, but
You're just voting for the person who role-played the best.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but the taking part is better because you really push yourself role-playing wise and as a player really getting into it, but also everybody else is. So you've got that amazing immersion playing with some of the best players you'll ever play with at that convention.
Yeah, I mean, for me, in previous years, it was all about getting through to the final, because the final game, when you get through to the final, you are playing with people who were the best at their table, so you know you've got no weak players there.
Yeah, of course,
it's very, very entertaining. This year, I think I did prefer the first round a little more. It was a very good game. But you know, I mean, it's still a good game, still a good final. I think my character was Marmite though. I think other people in the game either rated me first or last. Sadly, I think I got one more last than first.
Well, the feedback I got was great, so I'm pleased about that. Yes.
What, in your game?
Yes, in my game.
And the player who won at your table, Helena, I would not have been disappointed if she won. She was my second choice behind Lynn, who did win. I thought Lynn did brilliantly, but I thought if either of those win, I will not be unhappy.
Helena was a very good role player, and it was
a good player.
It was pretty unanimous around the table that yes, she was the best role player. So yeah, but it's a friendly. I definitely think that if you're in the first time and you're quite competitive, then yeah, you'll think, oh yeah, I've got to get to the final, and no. But also, yeah, it's about the experience of being able to role play with like-minded people, and especially with a system like Cthulhu, which is already pretty story-driven. Very rich in atmosphere.
Yeah, you could imagine if it was like a 5e tournament, it's like, are you going to be judged on killing
different.
the monsters,
yeah,
or are you going to be
exactly.
judged on role-playing?
Yeah, completely different. Which is why I like it so much, and I actually prefer running it than playing it. I think, have I only ever played it once? Yes. I've only played it once.
But after 3 straight years of getting into the final and having won it once, I am retiring from the Cthulhu Masters.
You are?
I am. Our chat just died.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Oh, are you putting graphics on?
Yes. Oh, password.
Can't say it, the mic's on. So, Jason's just disappeared to type the YouTube password in because our chat disconnected and it's asking for the password. No, that's not it. There's more characters than that.
Can you do it then?
Go on, we'll swap around. That was my big retirement speech you've interrupted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me, but yes, it was very good. This time, as I said, it was every GM ran the same scenario, which means that we were given a scenario that had already been drafted, basically, and we all did the same. So it was quite nice in that we could talk to each other about it, sort of feedback we gave to each other on, oh, what do you think of this game, you know, this, that, and the other. There were some bits about it where it was like, I really wish this could have been checked because there were really blatant mistakes in it. And now I can tell you what it is.
I did overhear one just as the room was forming. November the 31st.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a Cthulhu plot device.
No, it wasn't.
Was a typo.
But it was all the way through the module, and I'm really surprised I didn't spot it earlier. But it's a good job I did, because I thought, fuck, if you know, we say, oh yes, the 31st of November, players will go, oh, what's the significance of that? Oh, because it's not a real date, so especially because it was a game based on time and different dates within time, so. You know, you would have gone right off on a goose chase for no reason. And there was also this thing about, what was it? Yog-Sothoth, the Sprawling Chaos, which was a bit weird because that doesn't actually happen. And there were various sort of name inconsistencies as well. And someone's intelligence being 14, which we had to change as well.
On a percentile system.
Yes, on a percentile system.
But yeah, I mean, the scenario itself was definitely fun to play.
Yes.
Okay, admittedly, from what you tell me, it had been written down in a bit of a rush. But the creativity behind it and the adventure itself was entertaining to play. I enjoyed it. I think I did enjoy it more than the second game I played in the final.
Cute. And then after that?
Well, as I say, I am retiring from the Masters for no other reason than there's other things I want to do at the Expo that I've not had the chance to do, things like the Starship Simulator, and Friday, I need to do those things on Saturday to free up Friday for filming. Cthulhu Masters is on the Friday, and we need to film on the Friday. We need to be picking up sponsors, not on the Saturday.
Although we need to talk about this off camera because I'm kind of committed again to running stuff.
I need a cameraman next UK Games Expo on the Friday. If anyone wants to come along and carry a camera, it's the coolest camera at the Expo.
Yeah, it is pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, Steadicam and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, because apparently I don't have a cameraman in the afternoon.
But then I played in a game.
Yes, because I was off in the final.
Yes.
So you just did a sort of regular RPG game.
I did a game of Simbarealm.
Oh, you've been wanting to try that system for a while, haven't you?
Yes,
I wouldn't mind checking it out at some point myself.
Yes, if I had more money, I would have bought it while I was there.
Okay. They are sponsoring Complus 2 this year. Maybe we can get somebody a free copy.
Indeed, because it's a good system. Fiuk says, people have said my name, Fajuk, like fjord.
I say Fuke.
I say Fiuk.
And until you tell me otherwise, that's what I'll do.
Mm-hmm. I'm off to work like normal. If I ever get off my butt and make a video, may I give you a shout out to my 10 subscribers? I played one good game. Of course you can.
Yeah. We love publicity, especially for Con Plus, because that's for charity.
Yes, so tell your 10 subs about Con Plus.
Yes, totally. It was so good to meet you two at UK Games Expo 2019. It was a highlight of the event for me. You're welcome, Steve. And you know what? It was a highlight for me. Because...
You paused dramatically.
No, it's true. Because...
It was cool. It was the first time anyone like came rushing up to us and said, "Oh, can I have your picture? I know who you are. You're from YouTube. Oh my god!"
It's the first time I've had somebody stop. I've had people say hello, and I've seen your YouTube and stuff, but really just be in passing.
Yeah.
It was the first time that somebody had taken a selfie with us, purely from point of view of being somebody who watched our stuff and wanted a selfie. Because that, like, you know, that hadn't happened to me before, I don't think, because like I'd had that kind of halfway thing, but never quite the full experience of being a more famous YouTuber than I really am.
And me.
Yes, but I was talking about how I felt.
Yeah.
You can talk about how you felt. That's different. We're not completely joined at the hip.
Well, yeah. Yes, we are. Yes, that's never happened to me before. It's like, can I take a picture? You know, there've been a couple of times. Well, there was the whole thing with the Road DM where people recognised me from YouTube, but nobody ever like wanted a picture or anything like that. So that was a bit kind of like celebrity level up.
I've been autograph hunted before, but not at a games convention. That was in a different sector entirely.
No. So yes, that was nice. It was indeed a great game because Phil was on my Cthulhu Masters table.
Ah, yes, he was. He didn't qualify though. Disappointed, Phil.
He was a good role player though. He did his artist character Alfred. Was it Alfred? I think it was very well. Yes, Phil B was indeed there. In fact, he was quite often with us. So
yeah, well, Phil was working for Feral Gamers Inc., who are also a Complus 2 sponsor. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we met up in the bar a few times because obviously, you know, we play with Phil in our weekly games. So, you know, we had a few drinks, I think. I can't terribly remember if we did or not, but I think we did. I had a lot of alcohol, so memory's not great.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Remember how busy it was when I was there in 2017, says Ronnie. Really want to go back next year, possibly to run Falkenstein. 2017, I don't know what the attendance figure was. I think it was less than 30,000.
It was 20,000.
20,000.
Yeah.
This year, the attendance figure was 45,000.
Was it definitely, though? Because somebody said 25.
Right, attendance over 45,
Okay.
uniques over 25.
Okay. Well, I'm sure uniques for 2017 was 20,000, or was that 2018?
I don't know.
Anyway.
They have to pull their stats up.
There was a lot.
Yeah.
I agree. It has become the Gen Con of Europe.
Yeah. I think it always kind of was. It's just, I mean, Spiel, I've not been to Spiel, but Spiel doesn't have the role playing.
No.
It is a bigger con though.
Hello, kitty.
So, yeah, I don't know, but for me, like, Games Expo is more than the NEC. That's the thing.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and it's going to be three halls at the NEC next year.
But it's astonishing when
Plus-
people like don't know about like the Hilton and even like reenactments or things that are going on elsewhere. It's like, yeah,
Yeah, you know, it's more than one building, and
Like
I
a
know a
full
lot of people
magazine.
really do just go for the trade hall, but it's in next year. It will be in 3 trade halls plus a hall for bring and buy. But I don't know if that means they've got 3A and B, because there's one of the halls is split in 2, 3A and B, and it can be undivided and divided.
yes.
So I don't know if that's what they're doing there. But
guess
yeah,
so, yeah.
they're talking about taking 3 halls of trade plus bring and buy.
Well, that's good because Bring and Buy is always really busy, and I think they did a great job this year from what I could see.
I never went into that hall because that was in hall 3A.
There was a long trailing queue.
Yeah, I never got to it. There is a part of hall 1 we never actually saw, about a third to a half of it.
I wouldn't say a half. I'd definitely say a
A
third.
third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a third. There was a nice sort of gamers relaxation corner.
Was there?
Yeah, we briefly passed it. It was like a kind of a place where you could sit on leather sofas. It was sort of had sort of dark lighting type things.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, which I think is quite a good idea. Like if you need to escape. The problem is I had no idea it was there. But there was the garden area, which was nice actually. If you wanted to kind of go into a less busy.
Yeah, I like to head to the garden.
Yeah.
Because I can smoke out.
Yes, you really did go fanboy. But it's all good. And there's a conversation going on that's not to do with us. Hi, Steve. Yes, great games, lots of fun. Didn't get past the first round, but would do it again. Good.
Well, I won't be there next year, Phil, so you'll be able to. So that was... yeah.
What was the huge RPG controversy?
We are going to get to it.
Yeah, we're getting to it. I was going to
kicked
say
off on
we got
Friday
some...
night, but we're going to talk about the expo first. So Saturday for us, our main mission, of course, is to get sponsors for Compass 2.
Can I just talk a bit about Simbarealm?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so yeah, I enjoyed the game. I was knackered because I basically hit a wall as soon as I sat down for the next game. I thought I'd be fine, but no, I was like, oh. But I think we all were a bit around the table, but it was good. I liked the very sort of dark fantasy setting. Not in a kind of Warhammer way, though. Not as gritty. It was a lot more kind of... If you imagine Lord of the Rings elves, but more arseholey. And you've got really nice, sort of interesting portrayals of things like ogres and goblins, like playable characters for one thing. Mm-hmm. But they've also got their own traits, their own mannerisms that I think is really cool. They go into way more depth than in D&D, and also the setting is very in depth. So basically, for those of you who don't know, there's this Mahusiv forest and surrounding areas. There was a battle between good and evil, and good won, which is of course good. But what was left behind was all this sort of evil, corruption, wasteland and things. So corruption has become this thing that kind of can live in other people, and like if it gets into you, for example, it can cause horrible things to happen in quite a Cthulhu sort of way, which is cute. And I also liked how simple the system was. So you roll under a d20. You roll a d20, you roll under your attribute, and you might get a +3 modifier or something, like really simple like that. And you get maybe 4, possibly 5 skills. It's really streamlined. But quite a lot of them stack. And also it works in a kind of a team thing. So if you've got a leader in your team, they might have a thing that can stack with one of your abilities if it's used in a certain way. So for example, with mine, I was sitting next to a leader. I was I can't remember what I was now, but I was like one of the archers or something. So he could say to me, go for the big guy, or go for that thing. If I take that request, I get a bonus. Because I'm kind of led by him and influenced by him. I think if I went against him, then I also got some kind of bonus from somebody else, but I can't quite remember because again I was really tired. But it was a good setting, a good system. I liked it.
Okay.
I would like to do it again. Yes.
And then Friday night, I had to start really late to wait for a friend to arrive from the Netherlands. In order to hand her event pass that she needed for first thing Saturday morning before I was ever going to get up.
Blinking tournaments lasting all day.
So I was sat as the last sort of 2 hours downstairs. I was actually quite bored because I couldn't handle any more drink for the last sort of hour or so. So eventually got to bed. And then Saturday happened. Now Saturday, we intended to go through the trade halls and pick up loads of sponsors, and we picked up a couple.
Because people said, "Oh, don't do it; it's really busy," and we're not. We're not
I never wanted to do it.
No, but I thought, look, we're fine with crowds. We can cope with them. You know, it's noisy enough on the Friday, so surely it can't be much worse on the Saturday.
That's not the problem.
No, I thought that's what the problem would be, but no, you're right. It was something else.
The problem was that the vendors themselves are so busy making money, started to feel bad trying to, like, we'd wait a long time to speak to one, and then because, you know, we do our pitch and stuff, and we're basically taking somebody off a stand for half an hour if they have an interview, you know. We just couldn't do that to people. Saturday is the wrong time to go round asking for charity.
Yeah, usually they didn't even have enough manpower. Like, they couldn't even talk to somebody unless you're really buying something. So
I mean, we had a few arranged interviews that day anyway, because didn't we film with Steffi that day?
We first filmed Dom from Cubicle 7, so thank you very much, Dom. I think that was the main reason why I suggested in the end we do it on Saturday, because, like, well, look, we're in the trade hall anyway because of Dom. We also indeed interview, and I finally got to meet Steffi Devan from Onyx Path. So that was really awesome.
She has her own company as well, doesn't she? Angry Hamster.
She's one of the freelance writers. It's not her company. That's Elizabeth.
Okay. I thought she freelanced with Onyx Path, and I'm obviously got.
No, she's more involved with Onyx Path, but she does do her own stuff in it, if that makes sense. So she's worked on. I think she's worked on Pugmire, Changeling, The Lost. She's done It Came From Beneath the Sea as well, with Gentleman Gamer, Matthew Dawkins. But she's also doing this Legends Lore thing, which is coming out, by the way, in October as a Kickstarter, which we will plug and stuff. But also she has an obsession with Michelle Gomez, which is awesome, who played Missy in Doctor Who.
Yes, she does, doesn't she? So if anybody sees one of those, I don't know what those things are even called. Pop dolls or something?
Yeah.
Pop doll of Missy with black hair.
Apparently she wants
apparently
it.
the blonde one's crap. But anyway.
Dave has said something else.
Spiel is 2 Eurogames based. I like a bit of Warhammer and lots of thematic board games in my Games Expo. Well, you know, I mean, I love Eurogames.
Me too.
They can be very dry. I mean, like, one of the best Euro games out there is Castles of Burgundy. And it has the dullest theme in human history. Yeah. It's like sheep farming. No, it's literally sheep farming, but you might do chickens, or you might build a church. I mean, it's just so dry. It's like only a German could come up with that. I'm sorry. Like, I know that's a little bit racist to say,
especially
but
since it's about Burgundy.
Yeah, no. It just... and yeah, I mean, it's a great mechanically. It's a brilliant game, and no matter what strategy we've played, we are usually
Really
separated
close
by a
and-
couple of points at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because as long as you play that strategy well, you will get a good score for that strategy, and have a few, 120 odd points, whatever is the typical winning value. But we're usually so close together when we play that. And yet, if one has a bad game and it's very bad, it is reflected. It's not like it's just delivering the scores in that close. So yeah, I mean, theme matters for a game. It does.
Having said that, Quacks is a Euro game.
Yeah, but it's definitely got Ameritrash elements.
Yes, it does. But I love the Rat's Tails. That's very Euro gamey.
Yeah, incredibly. So it's a catch-up mechanic of Rat's Tail. But look, I mean, ultimately, although they're called Ameritrash is very. Those kind of games are very strong on theme, and what's happening with board games now is this amalgamation of the Ameritrash theme, the Eurogames mechanics, and the quality of components that you can only get when a European company buys something from China. So, and that's just fantastic for board gaming. It's part of this whole board gaming renaissance that's going on right now, and it's wonderful to get a game that's strong in both theme and mechanics. Because if you go to pure Ameritrash style games, those are sort of old school Western games, like the Dune board game, or that just got relaunched actually.
Well, when I think of Ameritrash, I think of like Betrayal, Pandemic.
Yeah, Firefly.
Actually, that's
so much
true.
Pandemic. Look, Firefly, I love that game. It is the richest themed game I have ever played,
But
and it's
gotta
marvelous.
like Firefly.
But it's so random.
Yes, it is.
It is such a cruel mistress. You can have 7, 8
It's
turns in a row that you've
brutal.
waited 10 minutes for, where your turn was just over on the first attempt at trying to do something.
Yeah.
It can be like gameplay mechanics. It's not great.
Away.
It does, and you have to have signed up for that before you start playing that game. Because if you haven't, you're going to be like, if you ever have 6 players of Firefly, 3 of them are having a miserable time, and one's going, "Meh."
And then another person's going, oh my god, I've got this, and I've got all of this, and fuck you, I can do all this.
Yeah, and they've won long before
Yeah,
they do.
yeah.
Whereas, so it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, really.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that we're beginning to see these games that have both theme and mechanics.
Yes, I like it very much.
Stephen Gowdy says, Bring and Buy was just too busy for the size of the area, so here is hoping that next year gives it a bigger area and that the line disappears because it was off-putting. I mean, I didn't go in there, but I thought it was the whole of Hall 3A, wasn't it?
No, I don't think so.
No?
I think it was only half of it. So, yeah, the fact they're doing it now in a completely separate hall, yeah, great.
Okay.
Again, I remember when they did it in a room next to the breakfast bar in the Hilton. It was so rammed. It's like, how do people breathe? Edge Lord of the Rings, yeah, as in the elves. In Simbaram, I suppose is what he means. Yeah, nothing more irritating than haughty edgelord elves. Well, yeah,
must be a long way behind on this chat.
They're really territorial. They apparently kill humans on sight. Type edgy. Simbaram is a great fame. A great game, I'm assuming you mean. I picked up Coriolis by the same people. Fantastic book, lovely artwork. Yes, it did look nice.
So Coriolis, presumably, I mean, that's the name of the space station in Elite, so assumably it's another Elite-themed game. Because we did get backing from the Elite Dangerous RPG last year, but I know they're struggling this year, which is a shame because although I'd not read the system, it did have a really innovative mechanic which I will now use in every sci-fi game I do that has space travel, which is it made everyone the pilot. You flew single pilot ships. You didn't go in one big spaceship with the whole party in it. And I just thought that just solves so many problems with those kind of traveller-esque games. But I've not played Coriolis. Phil says, great day on Saturday. We sold it all. Yes, Phil was working for
Feral Games.
Feral Gamers Inc. And they sold out and closed their stand.
Everything. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Early drinks.
I spoke to a number of people in the trade hall on Sunday and Saturday about the Saturday, and like some of them said they sold more on the Friday than the Saturday, but there were definitely those who said Saturday was just insane.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just random.
I did make a point though that a lot of the especially more kind of in-depth RPG systems are over on one side, kind of on the left in the corner. And especially if you get people on the Saturday who just kind of come for the day to see what it's like, they might pick up a couple of dice or accessories or something. They're going to go for much more casual type things in the middle, or they're not going to go looking specifically for something, whereas...
I think you try and do the whole hall when you do it.
Maybe,
don't you?
but like they won't necessarily know what to look for, perhaps.
Maybe
if
not, but...
Whereas Friday and Sunday, you get the much more hardcore people, like you were saying.
Oh yeah, Friday is definitely... In the trade hall on the Friday are hardcore gamers and trade buyers.
Yeah. Who know exactly what they want to look out for. Right, that stand is there, we must go there and buy this. Because we do that as well. We think, right, I would quite like to get this, I'd quite like to get that.
Want to check that stand out, want to have a look at this. Yeah.
Not just sort of wander around thinking, ooh, that looks nice.
I do. I like to sort of skim along everything.
Well, I do that as well, but I never really buy anything from...
I did do that very first thing on Friday. For some reason, I don't think I was with you very early Friday, was I?
I assume you were. Why?
Because I seem to remember walking around the trade hall before Friday, buying some stuff, or maybe not buying, but at least looking through a lot of the trade hall. I remember doing it.
What, before it opened?
No. As it opened, I think. Not as it opened. I don't know. Did I go there before you?
Oh, yes, you did, I think.
I can't remember. Anyway.
I think you did. Yes, yes, because I met up with you. Because I wanted to have a bath and
that's
stuff.
what it was.
Well, you laugh, but seriously, I fell down the stairs the night before we set off. I have a bruise as big as this beer can, same sort
huge.
of colour.
It looks like a country map.
And because I had to have my shot on the Thursday, I had a massive load of swelling in my leg, which means it was extremely painful for me to sit down all expo. So I wanted to at least soak myself in a bath and all of that.
So yeah, Saturday was a bit of a washout, and in the evening my game got cancelled.
But we did play some Terraforming Mars.
We did. We played some Terraforming Mars.
And
My
was
RPG
nice.
got cancelled, so I got drunk in the bar with my friends from Holland. Then I did a pickup game in the... There's
Games on
Expo,
Demand.
Yeah, Expo has this thing called Games on Demand, which is a 2-hour game. You just walk out, buy a ticket, have a 2-hour game, and those GMs are amazing and work so hard and do the longest day.
Insane. I don't know how they do it.
So I was playing this in this steampunk Victoriana game. It's game system Cubicle 7 did, but I think it's out in print now. And I was playing a Tiger Man, and we were a special investigator squad. And Sherlock Holmes and Watson had been killed, and we had to investigate their death. And my character was convinced the whole time that Sherlock Holmes surely wasn't dead. This will be a ruse. Sherlock Holmes has somehow done a bait and switch. It's only a 2-hour slot, so the plot wasn't actually that complicated.
Well, no, it never
but
is.
The players around the table loved this whole sort of this idea, and at the very end, the last thing my character said, after we'd found out who killed Sherlock Holmes, and I was like, so what happened to the real Sherlock Holmes? And then one of the players goes, well, actually... and then the other one goes, and I am Watson! It was just the perfect finish for that game.
Whereas I played a full Cthulhu game.
Are you okay for a few minutes?
Yes, of course. Although it was hilarious because I remember booking it kind of on a whim. I'd completely forgotten even what system I was playing. I just remember the title. Turned up. It was a good game. I was one of 5 MPD, so Miami Police Department, in the 80s. And I said, you stole my idea because I've just finished running a game in the 80s. So I got to do a plug about that and talk about the Masters. But yeah, it was it was pretty good. I think there were some details though that I either missed or they weren't described properly, because there were a lot of points where we were all really stumped, and he kept saying, make an idea roll, which is a mechanic in Cthulhu where if you are stumped as players, you can make an idea roll. You are sort of given some information, or it's kind of turned into an encounter, but depending on how you roll, there might be bad consequences. But basically all he kept saying was, you've missed something, and it's like, no shit, we've missed something, but what is it? Because seriously, this has happened 4 times now. I kind of want to know what's happening, and I'm annoyed that we keep getting stuck. But apart from that, it was good. It was about these 2 gangs that were killing each other. It was really bizarre in terms of like setup. There were random civilians with like dead civilians with guns and axes and stuff, and there was this sort of Hispanic gang as well. In fact, no, beg your pardon, they were Cuban. And there were weird clues we kept finding. There was an occult book that I found upstairs in this warehouse. It's like, okay. And we got into contact with this Madame Juju, who was being very secretive, and she sounded just like somebody on this recording. And it's like, okay. And eventually we got round to the crime boss's house. We came in via helicopter, and there was this big ceremony going to happen. And it was going to happen in stages, so we knew this was the last thing to happen. And basically nothing happened, because in the end, it turns out that this was all in their heads. It was all made up. They were all just part of a loony cult. Are we going to do a treat?
I'm treating the cat, yes.
Is she going to be able to do it on the sofa?
Well, she's going to have to come over here. Come here, that's it. Okay. Jump up. Jump up.
Come on.
Jump up. Jump up. That's
Good
it. Good
girl.
Good girl. There we go.
Miss one.
She didn't do it on demand, though. I had to do that several times.
No. But yes, it was a good game overall. By the end, I was very tired, but then I found you conversing with people in the bar.
That's this Saturday.
Yes, Saturday night.
Yes, I played the game with Phil. The games on demand. Phil, so basically, we kind of missed each other. So Phil was like in a game, everyone was in a game, and my Dutch friends had gone off because they went back to their B&B or whatever, and I was like, the night is young. I didn't want to go. So I was like, I said, where is everyone? Couldn't get hold of anyone. I think Phil suggested go do games on demand or something. So I sort of went there, got in just in time, and then Phil was like, right, I made it to the bar. Where are you? And I'm like, well, I'm in games on demand now. So he comes in.
Yeah, I remember getting that message. I'm like, oh, I'm in the middle of a game. Sorry. Matthew Dawkins is going to Tabletop Scotland to run a game. I believe I saw that somewhere. He mentioned it.
We did speak to
you
Matthew.
Lucky bastards. We did speak to him briefly, but he was a very busy man, because they actually had a stall this time at Onyx Path, and he was doing a lot of scenario talking or something. But looking as dapper as ever.
Always looks dapper.
Hello, Mobs.
Hey, Love Mobius, how you doing?
Hello, this is Night Talk.
Which brings us to Sunday.
Yes, but first, from the moderator.
We've not got the chat on screen because you left it on the wrong camera.
Oh, whoopsie.
So you've been doing all of that, clearing the chat without actually putting it on screen.
Oh, oops, right.
It's the top left one where it says camera. The scene? See, bottom right of XSplit. There.
Sorry. I'm tired, okay? I've had a long day.
Didn't have the focus right on that, did it? Didn't have the echoey sound.
No.
Good.
I don't believe so.
Okay. I didn't notice either.
Anyway, show some love for us, the hosts, by clicking the like and subscribe button. Otherwise, apparently Moses is going to put a hex on you that will make your role-playing game suck.
Wow, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
People come here to improve their games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Stephen Gowdy says, I found the Sunday at the Expo was the best day to demo the games I was interested in. The Sunday is a bit quieter.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as quiet as the Friday.
No, it's not, because it's the weekend. Like, people don't get Friday off
Yeah.
necessarily.
Um,
But
it's a good day to get
Yeah.
bargains. I have in the before. I usually leave all my shopping until the Sunday.
yeah,
And then rush around like a lunatic trying to get discounts. Because if you haggle on the Sunday, you can often get away with it. Because sometimes they don't want to carry these boxes home.
no,
they don't
exactly,
want to pack it
no.
all up.
They want to sell them.
So I often do that, but not this year.
But interestingly, with demoing, I did manage to do that one time. Back when I didn't really do that much at the expo, but yeah, in terms of nowadays, no, I never have time to go around and actually demo games in the trade hall.
Try
no,
and play
so-
in them and stuff. Yeah, I sometimes do it at Dragon Meet because you can't get a game
Yeah.
at Dragon Meet.
but that's
Even
the
this
reason why.
this time at Dragon Meet, we were working it hard, and we were working really hard on the Sunday as well, trying to make up all the lost time from the Saturday, because it's not
Yeah.
a full day on the Sunday. It does close earlier. And frustratingly, the food court closes earlier as well. It's like,
we didn't know that. But I did like that they were open, Friday, Saturday over dinner, because you were convinced they weren't.
Oh, I don't think they had in previous years. They always seem to close.
Oh,
in the
okay.
evenings.
Well, then they must have extended it.
Yeah. So the food court at Games Expo is amazing.
Oh my god.
Particularly the burrito.
There are people who don't know. This is the thing.
Yeah.
I had to tell them why. Why don't you go over there? It's like the best food ever.
So basically, opposite the Hilton entrance is like a car park that is reserved for a food court, and it is some of the best street food you will ever taste. The burritos are my favourite, followed by the
Korean?
the Korean. Oh, they do this sloppy Joe burger thing, but it's not a burger, but it's but it is, and but it isn't, and it's lovely. It really is.
I like meat. Which is obviously not very vegetarian or vegan friendly, unfortunately. There are lots of options though, of course. But I love them and their burgers. They do have a nice sort of Greek one, apparently. Phil said the Greek one was nice.
Yeah, I have had that in previous
feta
years,
cheese,
but
flatbread
I
and
didn't have it this
things.
year. Because what I did this year is I knew what the best food was, so I went burrito on the Friday. Got very Saturday was the Korean, and then later in the evening I stuck in a Le Croque Monsieur.
Oh,
I
did you?
was
Oh.
so drunk by the time I got there. I think I embarrassed myself in the queue.
Dear.
Well,
Well, I was going to say, the croque monsieur and the toasties, they're nice, but I think with the other stores you can get more for your money.
That's true, but when it's that late at night and you're that drunk, it was the right thing.
There's also the hot dogs. The hot dogs are really
I think
good.
we had one of them on the first day, didn't
Yes,
we? when we
yeah, I
arrived?
had one with macaroni cheese on it.
And then
is
of
a
course
bit
burrito
ridiculous.
again on the Sunday. So you have it on the Friday, so you can have it again on the Sunday. You see.
And this time, on the Sunday, they had the chorizo again. Was Friday they didn't. They ran out.
Right. Anyway.
We also went to a nice pizza and craft beer place.
Yes,
At
that's
the
over in the
NEC.
NEC. Except I wasn't wowed by either the craft beer or the pizza.
No.
No.
I quite liked the craft beer. It was very refreshing. The main issue was they ran out of half of their ingredients. So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
so what do you have?
Yeah.
But
They
yes.
couldn't cope with demand either.
No.
So, yes, Sunday we were running around that trade hall like lunatics. The thing is, a lot of sponsors wanted us to do prize pickups at the very end of the convention
like-
in that 5-minute window, and so you can't do
It's
it.
like-
You can do one at that time. And so there was one stand I won't mention names because I quite like them. But we went by several times to try and pick up from them, and it's like, no, not yet. It's like, yeah,
Yes,
but come on. We can't do it all right at the very end, please. There's room for one person in that slot, and you all want it. But so yeah, we ran around like headless chickens, just trying to pick up as many sponsors as we could. And unfortunately, we couldn't complete the haul.
No.
We didn't get everybody we wanted to get, but we did get more than ever,
Yes.
which is awesome. So what's Phil saying there?
I played Eldritch Tales in the Saturday pickup game. It was really good. If you get a chance, give it a go. You won't regret it. Yeah, apparently Steffi got to play Eldritch Tales with Matthew and Lloyd, I think, or John, and I was super jealous.
So hang on, you're talking Steffi from Onyx Path?
Yes.
Matthew from Onyx Path?
Yes, they no. As in Matthew Bryan, they know each other.
Who's Matthew Bryan?
Matthew, as in we were at the bar with him a load.
Ah, right, yeah, okay. And Lloyd Gian Lloyd.
I believe Lloyd, or possibly
Modiphius.
he was running it and it was John Large playing.
Wow, there's a lot of big hitters in one game, isn't it?
I know. Seriously.
That is one hell of a lineup. I wish I was there.
But yeah, the thing about, like, if you're in a game with Matthew Dawkins, you're a very lucky bastard because his games sell out straight away.
I've never played with Matt Dawkins.
He's a
I just
very
called
good.
him Matt,
He's,
not Matthew. That was shocking.
yes, he's a very good GM. Scarily good at role playing. He has this sort of evil smile he likes to do.
Has he ever won the Cthulhu Masters?
He doesn't need to do the Cthulhu Masters.
If he hasn't won it, it's not that good. Just saying.
But yeah, his games sell out in like minutes. It's a bit silly.
Alright, let's catch up with the chat and then we can talk about the incident.
Yes. So, McRavich. See, this is why I like Trail of Cthulhu better, and they're talking about compared to the game that I was in. Because I was talking about how I was getting stumped. The other players were getting stumped as well, like several times. You're going to get the clues, but it's still up to you to interpret them correctly. Yeah, I definitely thought that the DM thought he'd given us certain details, but he actually hadn't, or he thought that we would be able to put two and two together. Like, for example, there was a bit where we'd done, like, the first investigation bit. So we'd gone around this warehouse, we tried to find as many clues as we could, although he did like to do investigation rolls for picking up plot points, which I didn't like, because I thought, what if we missed something? But then we were seemingly supposed to know that there was this Madame Juju in Miami, and she had like an occult type shop. No mention of it beforehand. We didn't know who she was. There were no character backgrounds either, so it's not like any of us knew it. The only clue was I was interested in the occult, my character.
If you plan a game where you decide where a clue gets revealed, that's the problem which happens.
Yeah.
What you need to do is decide the clues and leave it open as to where that clue's revealed.
Yes, I agree.
That's my role-playing tip for the day.
Yeah, I've not played Trail of Cthulhu though, but yeah, lots of people have said how good it is, so... Yeah, none of this while we blew up our library use rolls, evening's over, yeah, or in our case it was investigation and spot hidden. We did do some library use a couple of times though. Giant tentacles are slowly crushing the library, but all I can find are old National Geographic magazines and a reference book on needlepoint. Or in the case of, with Arkham Horror, when Shut Up and Sit Down reviewed it, they were in these catacombs, they could hear snarling. It's like, I've got an encyclopedia. I also have an encyclopedia. Have you not got a gun? No, just this encyclopedia. We could look up how to do shooting and things. So that was funny. I just got a critical paper cut from this index card. My fingers sliced off. Yup. Basically. Oh my god. I am now very jealous of all these people. I was in the Contagion Chronicles final run by Matthew Dawkins, and he is a brilliant storyteller.
I have heard so many good things about Matthew Dawkins as a GM that I will have to try him and rate him.
The last game I played in where he was running was the Godlike game. But also, I said hello to Eddie of Pugmire. He didn't recognise me, but I was in a game run by Matthew Dawkins of Pugmire. I think it was more because this was in like 2013 or something. But I was in one of the sort of playtests of Pugmire before it came out with Eddie and with Matthew running, which I think...
I do remember I was at a convention once and I was playing this Powered by the Apocalypse spin-off game, and the GM asked for our names because we were beta testing this new system.
Yes.
And I said, I hated the game so much I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. It would be a conflict of interest in the table because it was so bad." I won't
What
mention it.
in terms of system?
The system.
Oh, you
was-
don't
it's
like
so-
Powered by the Apocalypse?
It's not my fact. Look, I've played some brilliant Powered by the Apocalypse games. It isn't my favourite mechanics. I think there's some mathematical issues in their
Remind me,
system.
is Godlike Powered by the Apocalypse?
No idea.
Oh, I can't reach.
Does it use 2d6?
No,
Then it definitely won't be.
I don't believe so. No.
Come tune into our stream where we can watch Jason read a book.
No, Godlike is great. It's like larger than life fighting Hitler.
Yeah, I remember
and
we talked about it last time. We got the book out.
superhero Nazis.
So
Not
in
in
a
a good
minute,
way.
we are going to talk about the controversy that hit
yes.
the Games Expo this year. It actually made the national news and was reported on the BBC.
Yeah.
So we talk about that now.
Game mechanics. D10s. Lots of D10s.
Yeah. It's not Powered by the Apocalypse. Let's get the chat right called up, and then we'll dive into this controversy.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted to demo Shadows of Esteron, but they didn't have a demo running that I
they
knew of.
normally don't. Not on their stand.
No, but I have to say, we stopped by their stand and they showed us a book that at the moment is only in French and they're going to kickstart it in English in a couple of months' time.
Very exciting.
It is the prettiest RPG book I have ever seen. And it's a setting book for 5e. And honestly, it looks amazing. So keep an eye out on Studio Agate. We'll let you know when it hits, because I am definitely getting it. I mean, it just looks so pretty.
But also not in terms of looks, just in terms of things about it really excited me.
There's some really. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about it yet because it hasn't.
No. We'll do a stream about it at some point. But there are lots of things about the book. It's not just the art; it's other things as well that make me really excited. It's a very fresh RPG. Let's just put it like that.
I am quite excited for the setting, but I'm most excited because it looks so pretty.
One roll. That's right. Godlike is one roll. Yes. I think
Shadows of Esteron's a pretty book.
It is a pretty book, but I believe
I think they've outdone them.
Dragons is prettier.
Yeah. Is that what it's called? Dragons?
Dragon. Jeu de rôle.
Okay. Yeah, because we only saw it in French, so...
Yes.
Yeah. Right, we are caught up on chat, which means it is time to talk about the controversy. So...
Yeah.
Let's do blow by blow. We were sat in the bar on the Friday night...
Yep.
...talking to a fairly senior volunteer for UK Games Expo when they got a text. And the text was just a list of facts of something that had kicked off.
I believe he had to step away from the table for a bit as well, actually, in order to read it and talk to them about it.
What had happened is somebody had tweeted that they had had the worst RPG experience of their life. And then they started going into details. And in response to that, the Expo had already dispatched John Dodd to go and investigate. John Dodd being like pretty much the top guy.
The top RPG guy.
Top RPG guy, yeah. For pretty much every major UK convention, including the Expo. Now, what was that controversy? What was tweeted was that the players' characters had been subject to a kidnapping and rape scenario, so that the characters had been kidnapped and raped. Bear in mind also that this was a Tales from the Flood game, and therefore the characters were underage. Now, on that point, I just want to make absolutely clear, Darren Sims is not the GM in question. A lot of people think it's Darren Sims.
It's not.
It is not. I do know the name of the GM. I'm not going to be saying it on air, unless by accident. Darren Sims happened to be also running a game by the same system,
But even that early, when we found out about it on the Friday night, even at that point, the GM's games had been removed because the investigation, the initial investigation, had already concluded, and the GM was off site when we heard about it on Friday night. So this was a mid-afternoon game in a public room with lots of games going on in the same room.
The GM, by the way, was also the room captain.
He was indeed the room
which
captain.
means that if something goes wrong, then it is your responsibility to deal with it. You're kind of looking after the room. I was the room captain for the Masters.
Yeah. Which reduced the channels of complaint for the players.
Absolutely. So, they couldn't complain to him because
now this
he
was
didn't seem to care.
A widely trusted GM that John Dodd had worked with for a decade at various conventions. He absolutely trusted him. The game itself did not mention any of this in the preview blurb. Didn't cover it. It was a bait and switch. Whilst that scenario was playing out, the GM was making, and I quote from memory, so forgive me if I don't get it exactly right, "Oh, I'm loving this. This is what I was going for. That look of shock on your faces." Now, John then spoke to the GM, who confirmed the scenario, didn't offer any explanations at that point. The GM's evening game, that was in the middle of at the time this happened, the investigation happened, the evening game was halted, the GM was asked to leave site, and the rest of their games were removed as a result of that investigation. John has since spoken to all but one of the players, has managed to get hold of and speak to them, that corroborated events. What the GM has said since is that actually it wasn't a rape scene, that all he did was describe sore arses, and that there was going to be this twist where it turned out they'd had a curry the night before. However, he accepts he forgot to give that punchline. Now, whether that is true or not, the reality is he didn't give that twist punchline. He left those players, having taken agency away from them, pedophilically raped those characters. And that is why he breached the convention rules and was asked to leave the convention, and that's that. He broke the rules. He was asked to leave. The players, the most senior person in the room was that GM. They didn't go to find another member of UKG staff. They complained about it on Twitter, which is understandable. It's 2019. I mean, I know from complaining at Domino's, it's no point phoning them up anymore. You have to tweet. So I get it. In a way, I do wish for the sake of role-playing that they'd spoken to UKGE staff first, but it happened. I get it. It's 2019. These things often hit social media first. And because it had hit Twitter, UKGE were forced to make a statement. The BBC then picked up on that article, rehashed the PR statement into their own words, and published it without any journalistic investigation, because it's a minor news story, frankly, and didn't justify journalist investigation. But since then, I can only describe it as a cis white male meninist fanboy zone has kind of kicked off in defense of the GM.
The whole white males getting suppressed, etc.
Yeah, I mean, look, from the point of view of the convention, what else could they do? It had hit Twitter. It was already public. The GM had broken the rules, so two separate issues there. Deal with them separately. GM broke the rules, had given, in the players' own words, the worst RPG experience of their lives.
I mean, surely that enough is, warrant to be investigated.
Even if it was meant to be the whole thing with the curry, he still heavily implied that they'd been paedophilically raped at the very least. And I don't have the information as to whether he actually said that they were raped or whether or anything like that. I know that he was gloating over the player's shock at the table, and certainly, if somebody did that at Com Plus, they wouldn't be coming back to Com Plus.
No.
So from that point of view, I think UKG did exactly the right thing. Now, the press release, the public relations statement, as it were, it hit Twitter. I think UKG's hand were forced. They had to make a public statement. What they didn't do was mention details. They didn't give the GM's name, which is good, or the player's name. They didn't mention the paedophilia. I think if they had, there wouldn't have been all of this defence of the GM that you're seeing on some places at the moment.
But even so, if they had mentioned it, then how would that make the expo look?
Yeah. And also, it would needlessly slander the GM, and particularly the poor guy that happened to run the game with the same system that's getting blamed for this.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine him going into work on the Monday and potentially getting... I mean, I don't know, I assume he's okay, but, things like that can lead to people getting fired, and it's like, the guy's completely innocent. The guy that it just happened to be running a game with the same system, and because the GM who did this has been removed from the UKGE site, people are looking at it saying, oh, it was a Tales from the Flood game. It was Darren Sims. It wasn't. He's innocent. It was not him at all. Completely unrelated game. So, yeah, it's all a big freaking mess. And the reality, I mean, it creates some disrepute for role-playing games, frankly. I think it's wholly inappropriate. Because I know some people have said, like, you can do that kind of thing in your home game with buy-in from your players and everything else. It's a different case entirely. It's not about home game. It's a convention game. You're in a public space. There are people that might overhear half of that game. You've just paedophilically raped half the table.
Yeah.
So half the whole table. People can overhear that part of the game and not hear your twist, even if there was a twist, which we don't know for sure.
But the thing that astonishes me is why make up a twist like that in the first place? What's the urgency to do that? Why? What? Out of all the things you can create, why that?
Well, I listened to the interview the GM gave, and he said it was because he wanted to subvert tropes. I'm not familiar with the tropes he's subverting.
Oh yeah, something to do with like Porky or something.
Yeah, I'm not personally familiar with it, but
I mean, comedy is very subjective, as is shock. At a convention,
most horror games I've played deal with unsettling the mind, usually in a very Cthulhu way, frankly.
Yes.
Even if it's not a Cthulhu game, and it's macabre and it's dark, but it's very rare. Like, you don't take agency away from a player and rape their character without them leaving them unable to even defend themselves. Even if you were to run an attempted rape and still keep the agency on the player, that's still horrific.
Well, exactly, because you're leaving the player and the character without options.
Yeah.
Which to me is not.
Even if you give the player options of defending themselves, though, it's still pretty fucking hardcore for a convention game, and and the fact that those characters, it was essentially a Stranger Things type game.
Yeah.
The characters in question were underage,
but
and as I understand it, one of the players at the table was too. The GM says the game was advertised over 18. I cannot confirm that, but I understand one of the players was not over 18.
But also, like, I honestly think that something like rape, why do it at a convention? Especially if, like, this GM who has done gaming for decades, he's been doing industry stuff for 10 years. You've got so many opportunities to run games. If you really want to do something shocking like a rape scene or whatever, keep it away from conventions. Do it in your own home, in the privacy with your friends who know you well, so maybe they get your sense of humor and maybe would get the curry twist thing. Why would you choose to run that at a convention out of all places? It's really out of place.
And worse yet, don't forget the twist. I mean, assuming that's not just made up after the fact.
Yeah, well, there we go.
Don't forget to deliver it. I mean, seriously, then you're just leaving this heavy implication.
Yeah.
In the that's the GM's own defense, and that's come out since. I mean, as I understand what the players are saying, that's certainly not how they see it. It's shocking. We have put a link to John Dodd's post Expo statement in the description of this video.
Just to clarify, it's his own opinion.
It's his personal opinion.
It's not the Expo's.
The Expo statement you can find on their Facebook page.
Yeah, and the website as well. It's on the website. We have some more chats as well.
So yeah, I mean, I'm glad the paedophilia stuff didn't hit the news.
Yes.
That didn't go public. And yeah, rightly so. But I mean, I think Games Expo did the only thing they could in both things they had to deal with. And the hand was forced in both cases. And the reality of 2019 is, you often do get more action by going on Twitter than taking it direct. And I suppose when it's something you care about, you kind of wish it was dealt with direct and on a more personal level, and rather than being making the BBC. But it is what it is, and it's 2019, and these things go public. Especially as their initial person that they could report to was the very person causing the problem, and the room captain, and which would mean that what you should do at the Games Expo, if this happens to you and it's the room captain you want to complain about, is you take the person above,
which is the floor manager.
Yeah, who are in the ticketing room.
Yeah, they wear yellow t-shirts.
Yes.
In fact, really, the floor manager should tell. The room captain should tell you who their floor manager is.
If asked, yes.
Yeah,
it's not like
which I was more than happy to do.
But yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So Ronnie says, to me, the Expo did the right thing, Twitter or not. The GM screwed up right royally, and certainly I wouldn't want that sort of GM at a convention I was at. No, certainly not. Were any of the other players minors or just their characters underage? Well, we think there might have been one person who was under 18, yes.
I understand that there may have been a player who was under 18, but I cannot 100% confirm that, because I'm not going to approach the players,
No, because they've had enough to deal with.
The GM has said that the game was advertised over as 18+, however, I cannot confirm that either, because the listing was removed when I found out about it on the Friday night. Stephen Gowdy says, the GM has broken the rules. UKG acted quickly and in the best interest of maintaining a family-friendly environment. And I agree 100%. And actually, yes, they really did act quickly. They did.
Impressed.
John got stuck right in and did the investigation, found the GM, and didn't even wait for the game the GM was in to finish. They dealt with it, and the GM didn't offer that curry related excuse on the night.
Yeah.
Didn't seem to think of that until later. Oh, we've lost our chat. We need to quickly sort that, which means you get this graphic. You mean the mic's on?
There we go.
So McCravitz says, don't think there would have been this defence of the GM. I'm thinking that's unwarranted optimism. There's a YouTuber who has tried to capitalise on this and get a lot of publicity out of it, which they have managed to do, and I'm not going to name them because I don't think they deserve that publicity. I've nothing particularly against that YouTuber, but they made up their mind on this before learning all the facts. And have made videos on it saying, now this is journalism, when it absolutely did not meet any journalistic standards. They asked confirmatory questions of the GM. They didn't ask any challenging questions. They didn't present any alternative points of views. They didn't have the facts, and that is because they weren't there and they haven't spoken to anyone involved other than the GM, who they wanted to get on purely to
Victimise.
exonerate them.
Yeah.
They had that motive to begin with, and it's unfortunately tied up into this small, narrow-minded right-wing mindset that
The left wing are censoring stuff.
yeah, apparently the left wingers, we're all lefties for thinking that UKGE did the right thing. I mean, look, I admit I am a lefty. I don't care what that GM does in his home group. You go to a public expo, you conform to public
And John
rules.
made a very good point, which I wholeheartedly agree with as someone on the left, to do the whole freedom of expression thing, in that people were saying, oh, well, we should ban the system from the expo because, of the possibility that it can happen again. It's like, look, as John said, it's not to do with the system. It doesn't matter what the system is. You can run it any way you choose. It's the GM. And he made a very valid point that if that was the case, we could never have Cthulhu or anything similar to Cthulhu at a convention.
Ridiculous. There are thousands of Cthulhu games being played at conventions, and they've never been a problem. The problem was this GM's game.
Yeah.
And it was utterly inappropriate.
The characters were underage, but I do not know about all of the players. The one player who tweeted was an adult. Yes, they were.
Okay.
Especially since at least one of them leapt to his defence even before he had offered this pitifully unconvincing bit of dishonest post-hoc cavilling?
Yeah, in terms of the curry thing, which is, it came out since the event after I'd had time to think about it.
Exactly.
Is it true or not? Don't know.
Yeah, whereas John's confirmed that when he was approached by him, he didn't...
Yeah, it was not mentioned.
Didn't mention
in
any
the investigation
changes or anything. He just said, "Did you do this? We have allocations of this, that, and the other." And he said, "Yes." He didn't say, "Oh, but there was this. Oh, but there was that." So he could have easily thought about it later. A convention game is a public game with all sorts of ages playing. Yeah, it's a bit like, say, I don't know, if you have a Saw movie.
This is the other thing. This was a midday game.
Yeah, it's like if you broadcast something like Saw at a shopping mall.
In the afternoon of a Saturday. Well, it's a Friday in question, but yeah.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like, yes, it's an 18, but you've got to realise that there are other people who are there who might be minors. They might not want to know about, like, gory sexual stuff.
Overhear paedophilic rape scenarios being played behind me. I mean,
that's
if I was on the next table along, it would be disgusting. And then to hear the GM gloating about it, to the players over their shock.
Vile is indeed the right descriptive.
So Ronnie says,
this is what
even
I'm saying.
an 18-plus game shouldn't have that sort of content, given that it was a room with other games going on.
Yeah.
Bang on.
Because seriously.
Yep. We seem to all agree on that one. Ronnie says, the worst part of the defence of the GM has been this insinuation that if the GM in question had been someone other than a straight white male, his game wouldn't have been kicked. I put it to you that if a trans person had done a scenario with paedophilia, they would have made the front page of the Daily Mail.
Yep, because we're all paedophiles anyway, apparently.
So I contest that notion on the grounds that it's definitely wrong. So
yeah, it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, how old you are, how often you've been playing games.
I honestly thought the one line nobody would ever cross was defence of paedophilia. Like, nobody would ever do that.
Oh,
and
yes,
yet
but...
this is what is happening here. But the thing is, people jump to his defence before they learnt that fact because it wasn't made public, and now they're entrenched, and now it's 2019 and they don't want to come out of their trenches, and they're like, shit, did we back the wrong horse? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but also maybe for some people as well, they don't care because he is a white male, whereas, say, I don't know, if it was a black woman,
The thing is,
they might think, oh yeah, that's terrible.
If they hadn't gone and done all of this big controversy and made it such a big deal by protesting his innocence, when, I mean, I'll let people decide what they think based on the facts I've given. I think, personally, my personal opinion is that game shouldn't have been run.
No.
Now, if it hadn't have blown up into this big thing, what is the odds that that GM would have been back next year? I would say 50-50. Yeah, of whether, because I don't think it would have been a lifetime ban.
I don't know. I think if say if the players had just gone to the floor manager as a complaint, they would have still done it.
I think, yeah, it'd still been kicked
Given
out
the connotations.
because then you can't ensure the rest of the games. But if you then, the Games Expo have already said they're going to change their sign-up process next year.
Which
We're
I'm
going to have
pleased
to give
about.
a lot more detail about our games when we list them on the website.
Yeah.
Which is, it's good. I mean, I think, yes, clearly it's needed. A question as to what is needed and
Yeah,
how
and
much
they have to,
information
of course,
is
work
a
that
much
out.
bigger question. You know, is it just a checkbox where you certify that you don't have any content of this type?
I hope not, because it's
Or-
a bit like when somebody at an airport check-in says, "Have you packed your bag yourself? Has anyone asked you to carry your bag through?" Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. It's like, of course you're
Or
going to
do we
say,
then have to write like 10
Yeah.
pages of fluff and then some poor sod's got to read it all? No, it might make better game descriptions. Depends what they do and how they
Yeah,
go about
yeah.
doing it. But now I forgot my original point because I distracted myself with that one.
the whole would he have been kicked out?
Yeah, like, so if they'd have tightened up, let's say, the games for next year, and you know the fact that he's been around so many years, he's worked for so many players in the industry, you know, he's a major player. You know, would he have come back in the next year, or maybe after a couple of years break have come back? I think, you know, it would have been 50-50, but I think he'd have been back before, you know, at some point. And if now it's turned into this huge big thing of who's innocent, he clearly isn't. He's innocent, he clearly isn't. I think now he's probably facing a lifetime
I'm just
ban.
waiting for someone to say both sides.
Yeah.
Is it really? Is there a window open, by the way? I'm really cold. Like in the bathroom, maybe.
Don't know.
Would you mind having a look, maybe?
I've been dispatched. I'll be back.
If you please, because I'm freezing. Heroic fantasy is about defeating evil and saving the day, not being abused and victimized. Yeah, indeed. Even if it was something gritty and really horrific, you know, there are ways to describe it. There are places, certain times and places to do those kinds of games. Was that window open?
There was no window open, but because there's a man that lives in this house, the thermostat was turned down to 15.
Oopsie. Sorry. It felt like it was a draft. But yeah, there are certain times and places. Now, I'm not saying, oh, you should not run any, I don't know, 15, 18 controversial games at conventions. No. But there are certain subjects that I think be tactful.
Look, I mean, first of all, if you're going to run anything like that, it needs to be an evening slot.
Yeah.
Because you need
absolutely.
to make sure the kids aren't in the room.
I wouldn't run anything like that if there was a possibility of there being somebody, you know, I don't know, a minor, more sensitive.
We have the concept of the watershed in this country for a reason, and you know that's the first point.
Yes.
On that. Secondly, there's ways of doing it and there's ways of not doing it. Like, if you're going to use the subject of paedophilia, you don't do it to a character.
No. No.
And you certainly don't do it without them having agency over their character when you do it to them. And you do it in reference. I watched a video actually by somebody watching this video. It was Ronnie, where he said he had an NPC that was a paedophile, and I've had an NPC that was a paedophile before now. But what Ronnie said, I think, was absolutely right. He described the players discovering images of children on a computer, and he said no more than that. And that's exactly how you do it. You know, if you want to, when you're adding paedophile as a trait to an NPC, you're making them out to be, this is a really bad person. This is one of the things they're bad about. You don't need details. You don't need to describe the photograph. No. So, but that's a given. I mean, isn't it? I mean, surely we all know this. So Stephen says, gaming is an escapism, and in today's day and age, with all the negativity in the world, no one wants it in their games. We play games to get away from that kind of thing.
Yeah, and again, it's that I'm not saying, you should just have all sunshine and rainbows in your games, and my favourite types of games are horror and things that could be seen as more negative, but it's a different kind of horror. It's a horror that is detached from real life, that doesn't directly affect you as a person. Like, for example, if I was in a game where, I don't know, my character saw a trans person getting beaten up and things, of course that would affect me because I'm trans. I wouldn't want that necessarily in a game, or at least I'd want to be warned about it beforehand and think, oh, okay, do I actually feel alright to do that game?
Generally, when it comes to social issues, I try to use fantasy substitutes. Like, if I wouldn't do a trans person beaten up, I'd do a dark elf beaten up.
Yeah.
And I'd show the same hatreds and how bigotry works, but via the mechanisms and tools that fantasy gives you. And that's how you do those things. You don't make play... Like, we have had in several times, we've had black players in our group. We don't currently have one, because Kevin moved away. But he wanted to get away from us that much. He moved to the other end of the country. But he was cool. I like him. But so dealing with the topic of racism in the games, it's a topic that we liked to deal with occasionally in our games, but we always did it through a fantasy mechanism. We'd never, like, half my minis and stuff are painted black anyway. It's not half, but it's a good portion. And then I have some in sort of Asianish skin tones and stuff, even though I don't think I've ever had an Asian player in my groups. But I do that because I think it makes my minis feel more real, and it makes my worlds feel more real to do that. Because I want my populations to be representative of the world that I live in. And because that then enables you to tell stories that are relevant to the world that we live in. And, these topics can be dealt with, but fantasy gives you the tools to deal with them without ramming prejudices home that people have to deal with day in, day out. I've told the story before of the time I was playing a female character on Mars in a sort of John Carter-esque type game, and there was green aliens and blue aliens, and a player that, with one lot was attacking, one lot was defending, and I told the green aliens that we were with, that were defending, to do something, and one of the players turned around and said, "You can't do that. Women back then didn't have rights. The aliens aren't going to listen to you." And I'm like, oh, fucking Mars, these are aliens, and
yeah,
there are fantasy substitutes to deal with these issues. I don't like doing it using exactly the prejudices we have in our real world. We can explore how prejudice impacts, but don't do it with the same ones we're facing daily, because frankly that's the shit I want to get away from.
There is a good chapter in the Call of Cthulhu, because that has come up in the 1920s. There's sexism, there's racism. I mean, Lovecraft himself was very racist, unfortunately. And there is a bit in there that says, okay, yes, there is authenticity. Firstly, make sure your group is comfortable with it. Secondly, only, as you said, reference it or touch on it a little bit. You don't need to go full in depth and all this. And they're basically saying use your common sense. Because I quite like a bit of authenticity when it's appropriate. But something like that also is kind of weird. The whole women don't have rights, therefore a random alien who's never seen a human isn't going to listen. What?
Yeah,
that's really stupid.
But it really happened in a game, and in this player's fantasy, he wanted to maintain sexism, and that's how I see it.
Well,
and it's like, no.
Well, then why?
No, use a fantasy substitute, because then we can explore the issue without me having to put up with the shit I put up with every day.
Yeah.
But the same truth for a person of colour at the table, or a person of any other minority disposition.
But it's a bit weird that he kind of said that out of character as opposed to even just role-playing and say, oh, poppycock, stupid woman.
It wasn't a character we could tell the player and the character's voice apart, so...
No. So it was difficult. Okay.
Might have been
one
a
of
character.
those. This DM needs Game Mastering 101 classes, or he could subscribe to the Pair of Geeks to learn how it's done. I'd rather not, because he might bring certain people that we don't want. Yeah. The problem with the new sign procedure is that it may not get round people springing shock value scenes. Well, yeah, but they're trying to make it so they do.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think you can pick fault in a procedure that doesn't yet exist.
No, exactly. We don't know what it's going to look like yet. That's the point. That was really eerie. I got cold when you did.
Oh, yes, it's the Cthulhu video. Did
But
you
I
not
definitely
know?
feel almost like a fridge is open somewhere. There's like,
Well, it's entirely possible I left the freezer open.
Uh-oh.
No, I didn't get ice. Oh no, but I refilled one of the ice trays. Maybe. Who knows? Next question.
But I'm cold. You can do strong subject matter without having to make it lurid, and certainly not without players being okay with such subject matters first.
I did put a blankie there.
Yes, but it was in the way, so I moved it to the bedroom.
Well, you'll have to go get it.
Okay.
Or check for windows yourself.
I'm not a girl. Next.
I am.
Also, I've never seen that person before.
Well, hello, welcome to the channel. I'm glad we're your favourite British people. We are... I'm female, Jason's male, so not your favourite British girls, just your favourite British girl. That's me.
And bloke.
So, that brings us, I think, to as much as we can say on the topic of the huge controversy. In conclusion, I think UKG did the only thing they could do. It's kind of a shame that's what the BBC reported on.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, you can't... I wouldn't have expected the BBC to go all journalistic investigation into something like that. And so, you know, it's... Because it is a thing, you know, companies put out PR statements and then on a slow news day you go, all right, okay, let's just reword that so it Google index under my own words. Boom, you know, job done. Next thing, you know, it's a quick, easy news article. That's all it was to the Beeb.
Yeah.
But, of course, for us, it's huge. So, yeah, it's I guess it just is what it is. And, you know, is it a case of all publicity is good publicity? You know, maybe the Expo will be bigger next year. Maybe the role-playing will be quieter. Who knows? I just know there'll be one less GM. Indeed, Medusa is disappeared.
Yeah, Medusa's not here.
So I think that's it. I mean,
Yes.
like, Expo for me this year was... I loved it. I loved it for the social side. That's most... For me, Expo is about two things. It's about socialising with everyone in this wonderful hobby and scene.
Yes.
You know, and the YouTubers, but also, you know, the RPGers, you know, catching up with... now, I spoke to Hannah. I did briefly get to speak to John. Now, he was with somebody who tuned into the Expo, and it was one of the people who bid on the Paizo prize, and I'm trying to remember who it was. I'm afraid... I'm not sure if I was sober or got drunk since, but I can't remember your name. I'm really sorry. So it was one of our big fans and viewers, and I'm so sorry. I can't remember who that was. But, you know, meeting people, meeting Stephen, who's been watching tonight, meeting Phil. I've never met Phil in person before. Played many games online with him, you know, and it was great. No pun included, talking to me.
Shock horror.
They came to me and multiple times. I had many conversations with them now. They're no longer in the doghouse. You know, bumping into Quinns again, had a very short conversation with him. He knows I'm a huge fangirl, and I think he finds it embarrassing, and me a bit stalkerish crazy. No, I make that joke with him, and I basically run the theory that because I'm a huge fangirl of Shut Up and Sit Down, that any email I send them is automatically filtered into that crazy stalker folder.
Yeah, didn't you know?
Because he never replies to my emails, and
He was like, no,
I
no,
pointed
it's
this
not.
out to him after he said, email me about something, and
Yeah,
I
I
forget
know.
what it
I
was.
was there at the time, you know.
I forget what it was now that I'm supposed to email him about. And he said,
Donating for Butterfly Project.
I read and reply. Oh yeah, the games. Yeah. I read and reply to all of those emails. He said. I said, you never reply to me. Is it because you filter me into crazy stalker girl folder?
Basically.
That was it. So that was cool. Got to meet Tom Vassell and have a conversation with him.
And fart on him.
I farted on Tom Vassell. Got to meet Unlucky Frog Gaming. Got to meet Beasts of War. They featured us on the website. Didn't talk about that. Because, so basically, when you're press at the expo, nowadays you get access to a press room. And the press room's quite cool. Not because it's an amazing room. It isn't. It's a small, tiny office with just a couple of tables in. But importantly, those tables have water on. There are loos that are separate from the NEC loos because, frankly, the NEC loos are disgusting.
Yep.
And there's free water in there. Oh, and Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah.
The press have Wi-Fi in the NEC, which is really cool. Not that I really used it for anything other than submitting our press details to Beasts of War. And this is all arranged by Beasts of War, who are the primary press people for the expo. Now, so I submit my details to them, and it's like, show some art, show some pictures. And I think they really meant pictures of the expo. I'm like, I haven't got any on my phone, but I'm here now.
But I have these.
But I had some pictures from Pair of Geeks stuff that I'd put onto Facebook. Yeah, so I put up a picture of an ice dungeon, which was never actually appeared on the channel. It appeared on our Facebook group. It's never appeared on the YouTube channel. And it's basically this really cool dungeon I did out of ice. Which I don't... Did we film a special ice dungeon video? I'm trying to remember.
Maybe.
I'm trying to remember if we did that or not. I know I meant to do it. Did I ever? I can't remember.
I think you did.
And the other one, which was also a Facebook exclusive picture. We don't use Facebook so much anymore because Facebook has kind of died as a platform from a marketing perspective. So we don't get any extra views to our YouTube videos from it. So we rarely use it. But the other thing that was a Facebook exclusive back in the day is I did this big setup where basically I've got these Sinclair C5 models. If you remember the channel update videos I used to do from that recumbent trike with the electric motor, that is a 30-year-old classic bike called a Sinclair C5. I recently sold it. It's gone. Sorry.
Maybe you didn't.
No, I don't think I ever did a video of it.
I can't see a video.
So I've got these miniatures of Sinclair C5s, 9 of them I think, and I scattered them around this scene, and I had a model of a dwarf that sits in one with his thumb up like this. And so I put a picture up of that dwarf in this fantasy scene, and that created quite a stir in the comments on Beasts of War site. But it was just like, quick, find some pictures.
Yeah, a bit of a panic.
So there's probably people going around Expo trying to find the Sinclair C5 model and wondering what this ice dungeon is. Where can I buy the ice dungeon? Don't, it'll melt.
Yeah, you can't. That's the idea.
Yeah. So that was that. But that was quite cool. Getting to meet those guys. They have a stage in the back of Hall 1 and I want to see if we can use it next year.
Yeah, or possibly stand on it.
I want to use the stage and interview people on the stage, and you never know, we might even pick up an audience and then we could just stay there and live stream.
Yeah.
Until Beasts of War come along and say,
Actually, excuse me.
And then I get the whole audience to go, oh.
Oh, we wish.
Yeah, I can dream. That's it, guys. That's it. We've finished the to-do list.
Okay,
So-
bye then.
Yeah.
You just stopped. I thought you were going to say something else.
I don't know what else to say. We've covered everything. We've covered our time at Expo. We've covered how terrible the Hilton is and how the Expo really needs to move to a new hotel for the RPG stuff. I'm really hoping the Moxie is a better hotel and that we can sign up to that one. Because it's right, the Moxie is being built now between the NEC and the Hilton, directly in the middle. I've no idea though what the prices are going to be and what it would be like as a hotel, but that's definitely on the list of ones to try. So Stephen Gowdy says, and have drinks brought to you.
As in, if we're on stage and stuff.
Oh, I see.
Absolutely. Well volunteered, sir.
Yes, absolutely, yes. So thank you. Take care, Lord Morbius. Take care, Ronnie. Phil was around earlier. Earmark Ordology LLC.
That's an interesting
You guys
name.
experienced DM burnout. Oh, we've had a serious RPG question.
A
right
serious
over the
question
stream.
after that blip before. Yes, I have experienced DM burnout a couple of years ago. It's not nice.
There was a point where I was role-playing quite a lot, and I don't think I ever really burnt out so much as just got tired generally in my life. Is there a specific feeling to GM burnout?
Yeah, I think it's the feeling of I don't want to run anything.
Yeah, you've had
but at the
that,
same
yeah.
time, it's like I feel like I need to because I need to keep up my reputation, but at the same time, I don't want to.
Well, I've always
It's-
been very lucky in my ability to manage this because I've always been in a group with so many available GMs. And even in groups where there was just one person that was the GM, they never last. Those groups never last, in my experience. The groups that last are where you have multiple GMs and then you alternate. And that's what enables a group to last. It's why when we were running games with Ronnie and Phil, as I said, let's open this up because we're running all the games. Let's get them to run games too. Because I know ultimately those groups will fade out if you just continue by yourself, always running.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, because I've got a game to run tomorrow that I simply, from Expo through to a big release of software at work this week, through to doing this live stream tonight, I have not done enough prep for this game tomorrow, or any. I started thinking about it this morning.
There's still about 12 hours.
I've got to sleep, and then we've got to clear the house up. There's no time.
Well,
And
I'll clean the house and you do the running.
I very much like to do when I got the miniatures out. I like to do a kind of a puzzle type thing with the minis, and I have no puzzle prepped for whatever encounter, and I don't want to do just a boring combat.
No.
I want it to be more interesting than that, and just you can't if you're doing that week in week out, you can't. You cannot. You can do it for a time, and that is why our campaigns don't tend to last years and years and years. We do shorter campaigns that are maybe 10, 12 sessions long, and I think that works better, and I think that's what sustains the group. The group that is meeting tomorrow has fundamentally been the same core players since I was 18.
Since forever. Whoa, since 18? That makes me feel very young.
Yeah, 26 years. Yeah, so it's been going a couple of decades. So Irmak Ordology LLC says it's turning into a job lately. That is the time for somebody else to be the GM and you to be the player.
Before my Cthulhu campaign this year, I just played in games when I was trying to get back into it for about a year, and I think that really helped. And then I came back in, I was fresh, and...
What I would say, though, if you're GMing currently, and you do think, okay, I need to step back and be a player for a bit... Don't be under the illusion that you will ever come back to that story. I guarantee you won't. You'll never come back to that game. So if there's an ending you've got in mind, do that ending and bow out in a big explosion of awesome, and then let somebody else take the reins, and you play for a bit and enjoy it. And I know it's more of a thing in America, but you tend to get people that are players and people that are GMs, and they're kind of fixed into one or the other, and that's not the way to do it, guys.
No, I joined the community. People used to call me the GM of the GMs, because then they could all be players. It's like, do you guys never play anything? Like, do you not take turns? Or
it's
like,
less
no,
of a
it's
thing
just
here,
me, it's
but...
the GM, other people are the... What?
And yeah, I just think there's not the right way to do it at all, because there's a lot of work outside of the game as the GM. People underestimate actually the effort that a good player puts in.
Yes, I agree.
And I think that's because most people aren't good. Well, by definition, only a few can be good. There is such a thing as an average player. It's what most people are. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're putting more time into a game as a GM, and you know what, you've got a life, and gaming's meant to be fun, and enjoy it for the fun that it is, because it's a wonderful hobby.
Yes.
But you can't be the person that's always doing that extra time to the game.
No. And I think the writer's block thing that Ronnie says, I think maybe that's one of the first stages of burnout, in that you keep getting writer's block, you trading out DMs. Yes.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's how I've kept buoyant.
Like I say, my core group, I've had many groups over the years, and multiple groups, but the one group that has always continued to meet has been going 26 years, and every person in that group is a GM.
Yes. The chat's getting going again. I've been GMing for 3 years straight, and I was glad to get the chance to be a player. Yeah, exactly, at the expo. But you guys, you need to take a break. Go to the
Tell shorter stories.
Playersville.
Yeah, I know you hear about these games sometimes, like that. Oh, this game's been going 20 years. I've built this complex world with huge backstory. I just think, why? Like, there's a part of me that says, yeah, it'd be cool to have a world that's that evolved, but I know I'd forget all the details anyway and be inconsistent. So and it's just, it's like, no. I don't. I want to play as well.
No, I am.
And it's not just I'll GM this game and I'll keep it going for 20 years and play in a different one.
Yeah.
No, it's like,
I am very much a fan with my campaigns of doing maybe 10, possibly 15 sessions at the most.
I do what feels right for the story. I mean, I always thought I should have done one extra on that corporation game you hated, but.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that my campaigns, for example, that I've done recently, the story has naturally come to an end after that many sessions, and I don't kind of finish it off and go, right, okay, now let's do this. It's like, no.
The original Brawlers campaign was 13 full days of roleplay, and there were 4 apocalypses ongoing. So. 13. That probably translates into about 36 regular length sessions. If there were weekly sessions, I'd say probably 40, 50. So it would be like a year's worth of play. I mean, it did take a year anyway. And I think that's probably. I couldn't imagine telling a longer story. I had 4 apocalypses go off simultaneously. So there were 4 plot lines. I can't imagine a game taking any longer than that. And we're doing the sequel now, it won't be as many sessions.
Becky is a fly by the seat of her pants kind of GM.
I do, but I do like to plan as well.
Depends if you mean as in the English pants or the American pants, because I think there's like 2 different levels there.
Well, I don't GM in my underwear, but I'm definitely wearing it.
So therefore
that
you
helps
are.
Answer it.
But you've got trousers on top.
Got pants on my pants.
It's pantception.
Well, it comes down to improv versus prep, and I do think the best games have both.
Yes.
I think if you don't prep at all, because I have done that, and often, those aren't the best games.
Yeah, and I've heard people before who are like, yeah, I prefer improvisation. It's like, okay, cool, but how much do you remember once you've improvised it?
It's not that. The problem if you just improvise is there are some things you cannot do.
No.
Like, if you're playing with miniatures, for example, and you improv, you can easily do a combat encounter. What you can't easily do is a puzzle combat encounter. Like, if you check out, I did a video years ago called The 4-Dimensional Dungeon, and it is well worth a watch, and please do steal that idea and use it. That's why I made a video on it. It's a great encounter that you can run, and you can drop that into almost any game setting. I happen to present it in D&D with miniatures, but it's a great little encounter that you can drop into just about any story arc, and it's kind of a trap / combat encounter where the focus isn't about the fight. In fact, if anything, you try not to fight. And it's, when I ran that encounter, I actually did, like, what I show in the video was one room. I actually ran 4 rooms of it. And it's the kind of thing you have to sit down and think about before you run it. I could never have made that up on the spot. And I like to have an encounter like that when I do the monthly sessions. And I haven't got one prepped yet, and I have to try and think of one under pressure tomorrow morning. Yeah, and it's probably not going to be the greatest. I've got a vague idea or something, but we'll see.
I am the only one with the books, lol, says Stephen, but I'm considering handing over the reins when this storyline finishes. To be fair, there has been 4 games over the 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I have run games I do not have the books for.
Yeah.
Cthulhu game I ran at Christmas being prime example.
Although I did have the books.
Yeah, I never opened them.
That's why I kept correcting your rules.
I've been in the Cthulhu Masters final 3 times. I have never read the Cthulhu rulebook or even opened the page.
Nope.
Yeah.
Wow, so disappointed.
And with that, Revelation...
We should go.
Yeah, it's time for me to plan an adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have been, if you haven't been, screw you. Thank you to all of our wonderful channel subscribers, and particularly our fruit bowls.
Patreon.
We have Russell Higgins, Jolly Mangina, Amber, Mark Threlfall, Brandon Fishwick, Dave Poirier, Fuke Enterprises, Philip Bate, Elizabeth Chipreditical, and Nate Hanshan. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to us. It really does. And thank you. Just seriously, thank you. If you want to support our charity work, please check out complus.live. I guarantee you, if you tune into this channel on October the 12th to October the 13th, midday to midday,
you will get something.
Will win prizes. We are doing the world's largest RPG prize giveaway. And if it turns out not to be the world's largest, I will quite happily stand correction. But we will still be giving away hundreds of things. Hundreds of RPG products. Physical and virtual, PDFs and physical things. Honestly...
They're creating lots of fire hazards downstairs.
Yeah, our house at the moment is a mess because we've got boxes upon boxes of stuff that we will be giving away.
To you.
To you.
Alright.
Thank you.
Thank you, bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. Bye.